Chapter 48:21. It's Senior Sister Bai. Senior Sister Bai is back. Senior Sister Bai is being hunted down by the Earth sect. Damn it! Those people rushed over and stared at the spirit boat. The Overlord frowned. Gu Feng gritted his teeth. Damn it! We were so close. Can we make a move? Who is that woman? He stared at Bai Susu. If there's no other way, I'll kill her. The Overlord shook his head. Don't touch her. If you dare to hurt her in front of the True Path sect, you'll die a horrible death. Her name is Bai Susu. Her parents are both great sages and elders of the sect. They live in the core region. If you kill her, you'll be challenging the True Path sect's authority. The Overlord shook his head. Then he walked out and said, You're lucky this time. You won't be so lucky the next time we meet. Let's go. He turned around and left on the spirit boat. Bai Susu heaved a sigh of relief. With this king herb, her strength will definitely improve by leaps and bounds. The next time they meet, it's hard to say who will be the unlucky one. She looked at the people behind her and said, Thank you, senior brothers and junior brothers, for your help. Now that the danger is over, everyone can go back. With that, she entered the spirit boat with a smile. Let's go, kid. Lin Xian controlled the spirit boat and flew in. Everyone thought that it was Bai Susu's spirit boat. They didn't know that the person inside was Lin Xian. Otherwise, it would cause another uproar. In fact, the people from the Dragon Palace might even come and attack. When they arrived above the spiritual abode, Bai Susu walked out and said, All right, I have to go back and cultivate. Let's work together next time. Susu waved her hand and was about to leave, but soon she flew back. Oh, right, I forgot to ask you. I plan to use this king herb with other spirit herbs to make a cauldron of pills. Of course, I won't do it myself. I'll let my parents do it together. They're both great sages. Do you need it? If you need it, I'll take your share with you. When the time comes, I'll refine the pill and send it to you. As for the fee, there's no need. This time, it's all thanks to you that I was able to obtain half a stalk of the king herb. Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't expect her parents to be great sages. Moreover, it seemed that they were most likely from the Tao sect. This little girl's identity was really not ordinary. He smiled and said, There's no need. I don't want to use this king medicine to refine pills for the time being. However, if I need it, I won't be polite. Also, are you interested in joining the Divine Palace? If Lin Xian's guess was right, the other party's parents could very well be elders. If they were to add the other party into their lineup, they would definitely be able to deal with the other party. In that case, it was equivalent to them gaining an elder-level backer. This was extremely beneficial for the three of them to develop in the Tao sect. Bai Susu smiled and said, Are you inviting me? But I have to think about it. I'll answer you next time we meet. She waved and left. Lin Xian kept the black earth and entered the mansion below. After entering, Yuren walked out and exclaimed, Big brother Lin, you're back. Lin Xian nodded. Are there still any empty cultivation rooms? Give me one. Soon he entered the cultivation room and sat down cross-legged. First, he recovered his strength to its peak. Then, he entered the mysterious world in his body. At this moment, there were 4 spirit veins in the mysterious world. The small valley formed by them had also changed. The 4 supreme-grade spirit veins had become very small, turning into small hills, dim and lifeless. The 4 spirit beasts were roaring crazily. Damn it! When they saw Lin Xian walking over, they couldn't wait to kill him and tear him to pieces. However, they didn't have the strength to do so now. Lin Xian stood on the small hill and looked at the soil in the valley. His lips curled into a smile. He realized that the soil was starting to glow. Not bad. Although the area was small, if he could really restore the soil, it would be very useful. Lin Xian had kept half of the King of Medicine so that he could plant it here. Damn brat, let us out if you have the guts. Let's fight one-on-one. The spirit tiger roared. Lin Xian looked at them and said, "Looks like you guys won't die anytime soon. Don't worry. Although I'm borrowing your strength now, once this world fully recovers, you guys will be the ones to benefit. I promise that after you follow me, I can let you absorb the energy of this world and turn you into divine beasts." "Brat, who are you trying to fool?" The spirit dragon also roared. This world was so desolate, it wouldn't recover even in 10,000 years. The spirit turtle snorted. "Even if the four of us are sucked dry, we can only restore a small piece of land. There are countless worlds in this world. How many spirit veins do you plan to use? How many worlds do you want to conquer with your strength?" One had to know that even on Medicine Star, there weren't many spirit veins like theirs. After all, they had existed for countless years and had formed souls. It was definitely rare. If it weren't for this brat's strange methods, they wouldn't have been suppressed. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. "How would I know if I don't try?" He entered the small valley. After checking the condition of the ground, he nodded. It was indeed much better than before. At least it wouldn't absorb the energy of spirit herbs anymore. He took out half of the Herb King and planted it in the small valley. Because half of the Herb King was lost, it was originally dim. However, after planting it, it bloomed with light. The Tao on it also lit up. This made Lin Xian very satisfied. The spirit tiger was called Roar. "Damn, brat, what do you take us for? Flower pots. You want us to cultivate spirit herbs for you? Damn it." The spirit sparrow gritted its teeth. It wanted to eat the Herb King. Lin Xian didn't care. He had set up a formation around the Herb King. Once it was attacked, he would know immediately. He said, "The four of you have worked hard. If you cooperate with me, I will help you recover one day. Otherwise, don't blame me for destroying your souls." The four spirit beasts stopped talking and fell silent. With his methods, it would be easy for him to destroy them now. After all, they had no power. Seeing that the four of them had fallen silent, Lin Xian smiled. "Stay here. Oh, right, I'll give your valley a name. It'll be called the Four Spirit Mountain." Lin Xian left the valley and began to cultivate outside the valley. There was 100 times more pressure here. Whether it was training his physique or cultivating the heavenly walk step, they were all very effective. Just like that, Lin Xian began to cultivate again. When he was resting, he took out many storage rings and began to organize his spoils of war. This time, he had gained a lot from his trip to Medicine Star. In addition to the Herb King, Lin Xian also obtained many spirit herbs. There were many 10,000-year-old spirit herbs. In addition, he also obtained the storage rings of some experts and supreme sages that he had killed. There were also many natural treasures inside. Lin Xian organized them all. Chapter 48:22. The Blue Clan. The atmosphere was unusually cold. They had suffered heavy losses on this trip to the Medicine Star. Not only had many young geniuses died, but even a few great saints had died. One of them was Lan Mingtian, an expert on the honor roll. The people of the Blue Clan were mad with anger. Who was the culprit? They weren't doing well in Holy Abyss City either. The death of Lan Zilu from the True Path sect had also made them look gloomy. Lan Jiyu returned to her clan and asked them to send experts to assassinate Lin Xian. She had to avenge her brother. However, the Blue Clan frowned. "That kid is from the True Path sect. We can't go there. Unless you lure him out, then we can make a move." "I understand." Lan Jiyu nodded. She could only do it outside the True Path sect. She prepared to leave. When she left, she saw Bing Ling return. Bing Ling looked down at Lan Jiyu and said coldly, "I heard that your useless brother died. What a joke. You're a disgrace to the clan." "What did you say?" Lan Jiyu roared. Her eyes were red. Bing Ling glanced at her and said coldly, "I heard that the one who did it was a newcomer like you. Don't you think that you and your sister's talents are a little too lacking?" "Damn it." Lan Jiyu gritted her teeth. She stared at Bing Ling and said, "I'll prove it to you. One day, I'll surpass you. I'll be the strongest in the clan." What a joke. Ignorant ant. Bing Ling shook her head and left, ignoring her. Compared to her, they were too far apart. If the other party had the ancient body, it might be possible. Lan Zhiyu's talent was strong, but it wasn't as good as hers. So Bing Ling didn't care. Lan Zhiyu, on the other hand, left with a dejected expression. She couldn't compare to Bing Ling in the clan. It seemed that she could only ask for help from the True Path sect. The Dragon Prince. She thought of someone. He had the ancient body and was also the son of the Dragon Sea Lord. He was also one of the leaders of the Dragon Palace. If he could walk to the other party's side, then the resources and power he would obtain would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, Lan Zhiyu gritted her teeth and went to find her father to discuss. Her father was a middle-aged man. His face was cold. He said that our bloodline will fully support you. This is a world core, and I'll give it to you now. You can use the resources inside to find connections in the Dragon Palace. If we can get the Dragon Crown Prince's support, all our efforts will be rewarded. Lan Zhiyu obtained the realm core and left. She swore that she would definitely kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't know about these things. Even if he did, he wouldn't care. Not to mention Lan Zhiyu. The entire Dragon Palace was his target. When the time came, he would trample everything under his feet. The blue race was no exception. When he came out of the mysterious world, he realized that it had been almost 2 months. This made him cry out in alarm. Oh no, it was too late. He remembered that he had an agreement with the Fire Dragon Lady to have her wait in the Sacred Abyss Tower for a month. I wonder if he's still around? Lin Xian hurried to the mission hall and took out 3 10,000-year-old herbs to complete the mission. This way, when the time came to refine the pills, he would get 1/3 of it. Then he hurriedly left the Tao sect and went to the Sacred Abyss Tower. There weren't many people in the Sacred Abyss Tower, but there was a fiery red figure nearby. It was a woman with shocking flames and a terrifying bloodline. The passers-by all looked over. Was this a new challenger? But what was surprising was that this fiery woman never seemed to enter the Sacred Abyss Tower. Every day, she would only stand outside the Sacred Abyss Tower for a period of time before leaving. Just like that, it had been more than half a month. No one knew who she was waiting for. This figure was naturally the Fire Dragon Lady. After the Fire Dragon Lady left the Medicine Star, she came with a World Star as promised. However, it had been almost 2 months, and she still hadn't seen Lin Xian. This surprised her. Did he forget? Impossible. It was such an important matter. There was another possibility, which was that he had fallen in the Medicine Star. Thinking of this possibility, she was even more shocked. She knew how terrifying he was. Who could make such a person fall? Could it be that a terrifying veteran great saint had made a move? She didn't know. She decided to wait for another half a month. After half a month, if the other party still didn't appear, she would leave. You're waiting here every day. At least you keep your word. At this moment, a faint voice came from behind her. The Fire Dragon Lady's hair stood on end. This familiar voice belonged to the other party. The other party had come. She turned around and saw a man in a black robe walking over with a smile. "It's you?" The Fire Dragon Lady was shocked. Lin Xian smiled. "You were waiting for me. Why are you so surprised? You didn't think that I had fallen after waiting for so long, right?" The Fire Dragon Lady's face turned pale. She felt that her thoughts had been seen through in an instant. She quickly shook her head. "How could that be? I was just surprised. Why did you come so late?" "You don't need to know." Lin Xian asked, "Did you bring the thing?" The Fire Dragon Lady nodded. She took out a treasure box and handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian opened it and found that it was a world core. He asked, "Which world is it from?" "It shouldn't be too far from the buried Emperor Star, right?" The Fire Dragon Lady said, "It's not far." If I fly at the speed of a great sage, I can reach it in 10 days. Since we don't have much time, come with me. Lin Xian waved his hand and enveloped the fire dragon lady. The two of them rose into the air and left the buried Emperor Star. They entered the Black Earth ship and started to fly at full speed. The fire dragon lady was very nervous. After all, Lin Xian had easily killed a great sage. How could she not be worried when she was with such a person? But fortunately, after a few days, she found that Lin Xian's life was very simple. Other than cultivation, it was cultivation. No wonder he was so strong. He was already so heaven-defying, but he didn't give up on every moment of cultivation. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath and sat down cross-legged. She began to cultivate. 10 days later, Lin Xian opened his eyes. He looked at the flame planet outside. His eyes flickered. It should be here. That's right, this was the Dragon Flame planet. The flames on it were very terrifying. There were some precious metal veins, god crystals, spirit veins, and so on. It wasn't suitable for humans or beasts to live in. Are you satisfied? Lin Xian landed. Feeling the terrifying flames around him, the corners of his mouth curled up. He was very satisfied. If there were martial artists and beasts living here, he wouldn't know what to do. But if there were only resources, it couldn't be better. After circling around this world, Lin Xian nodded in satisfaction. He wondered what would happen if he absorbed the power of this world into the mysterious world. He was looking forward to it. Chapter 48:23. Next, Lin Xian let Fire Dragon Girl leave. He stayed in this world alone. Lin Xian felt that he had perfect control of the Dragon Flame world after fusing with the world core. In the next moment, he sat cross-legged on the ground and opened the mysterious sword world. Boom. This time, he wanted to completely fuse the Dragon Flame world with the sword world. The Dragon Flame world shook violently, and cracks appeared in the surrounding space. The sword world was extremely calm, but the sky suddenly darkened. 4 Spirit Valley, the 4 spirit veins were shocked. They raised their heads and exclaimed, "What happened? Was the sky falling and the earth splitting? Ha ha, that's great. We can use this opportunity to leave." They were incomparably happy. However, not long after, they realized that it was not the case. A huge force was still acting on their surroundings. They could not escape at all. The black shadow in the sky shocked them. They saw that it seemed to be a world pressing down from the sky. No way. What was that kid doing? Could it be that he swallowed a world? Boom. The entire process was very slow. In the end, there was no way to continue. Lin Xian was surprised. It seemed that it was impossible for him to swallow a world with his current strength. He took a deep breath and took out the heaven swallowing jar. He wanted to borrow the power of an extreme weapon. The heaven swallowing jar could even swallow heaven and earth. Swallowing a world was not a problem. As expected, the heaven swallowing jar kept growing. Lin Xian controlled it with all his strength. This time, the Dragon Flame world was slowly swallowed up. But even so, it still took nearly a year. For the past year, Lin Xian had been controlling the heaven swallowing jar to swallow the Dragon Flame world. The Dragon Flame world was swallowed and then entered the mysterious world. The entire Dragon Flame world was incomparably red. It turned into a flaming star that hung above the 9 heavens. The aura that fell down scattered all over the earth. Of course, Lin Xian was only targeting the vicinity of the 4 Spirit Valley. Therefore, the 4 spirit veins instantly felt a powerful force coming from the sky. Everything became different. Damn, is this a star? He really refined a world into a star. This kid is crazy. What is he trying to do? Standing on the buried Emperor Star and looking up at the stars in the sky. Those stars were one world after another. However, they were all based on the universe. Now, This guy had placed all the worlds in a mysterious world. Is he trying to create a new universe? Who cares? Anyway, we can absorb the power that falls down formed from the flames. The 4 spirit veins were happy, but compared to this mysterious world, they absorbed a pitiful amount. Most of the power was absorbed by the mysterious sword world. Below the valley, the pill, the Medicine King's great Tao technique became even brighter. Even the upper half of his body that had been cut off began to regrow. Lin Xian was overjoyed when he came in. Next, his goal was to collect other worlds. If there was a day when he could completely restore the vitality of this mysterious world, then it would be of great use to him. Based on the current situation, it wouldn't take long for the Pill King to recover. Then he would swallow the Pill King and see if he could break through. Lin Xian needed too much power. Even after such a long period of cultivation, he was still unable to break through. Logically speaking, even with the Pill King, he might not be able to break through. However, it would be different if the Pill King was grown in the mysterious world. It has been more than a year. I wonder how the Tao sect is doing? Lin Xian walked out of the sword world and returned to the buried Emperor's star. When he arrived at the Tao sect, he discovered that there were more people in the Tao sect. Clearly, the test this time had begun. A few more geniuses had entered. Among them, he discovered 2 familiar faces, Dan Feng, Mortal Star. The 2 of them had indeed come from Taiching Ancient City. Lin Xian was happy. Not only were the 2 of them strong, but they were also top alchemists. In the future, they could become the Divine Union's exclusive alchemists. This way, the strength of the Divine Union's members would increase even faster. There were more people in the Divine Union now. After all, Lin Xian had fought a great battle and even killed the Dragon Prince's clone embodiment. This had shocked countless people. Therefore, some people had joined. However, there were only about 20 people in total. This was much less than expected. After all, the Dragon Palace was still a huge entity. Whoever dared to join the Divine Union would be challenging the Dragon Palace. Furthermore, these 20 people had different motives. Some were curious. Some wanted to obtain the Divine Union's support and resources. There were even some spies who had joined. They were probably spies sent by the Dragon Palace. Indeed, someone had come to cause trouble on this day. He said coldly, "We are the first batch to join the Dragon Palace. You should give us a lot of resources. Why don't you give us more now?" The person who had spoken was a man carrying a spear on his back. His eyes were piercingly cold. He said, "Aren't the 2 leaders very powerful?" One of them claimed to be a genius of the dragon race, while the other was a heaven-defying powerhouse. "The 2 of you have mastered so many mystic abilities. Why don't you give us some?" That was right. The other person had also arrived. He was carrying a huge axe on his back. Clearly, he was a strength-type powerhouse. Hand over the mystic abilities of the dragon race. If we are powerful, the Divine Union will be powerful too. Damn it, were these people crazy? What wishful thinking. Nailan Liang gritted his teeth. Hong Yi, Lu Yuan, and the others also had cold looks on their faces. The Crimson Dragon walked out and sneered. "You want my mystic abilities? What have you done for the Divine Union? We are also top-notch geniuses. Is this how the Divine Union treats geniuses?" The 2 of them sneered, and then looked at the other 10 people. "I think we should leave. There is no future in the Divine Union." "That's right. We might as well join the Dragon Palace. Even the lowest level of the Dragon Palace is better than here." "Damn it, Lu Yuan," and the others gritted their teeth. The Crimson Dragon also had a cold look on his face. It was obvious that the people from the Dragon Palace were here to cause trouble. "Do you believe that I will slap you to death?" The toad jumped out. The 2 of them sneered. "Why? Does the Divine Union want to suppress us by force? It seems like we can't stay in the divine union anymore. The Crimson Dragon and the others' faces changed when they heard this. What should they do? These people were very anxious. If the first batch of people left who would come to the divine union in the future. At this moment, Lin Xian walked over and said to the two of them, "How dare the two of you call yourselves top-notch geniuses? What a joke. Even if you want to stay in the divine union, I don't want you." Scram. What did you say? Do you dare to question our strength? The two of them were furious. They looked at the people around them and said, "Did you see that? This is how the divine union treats geniuses. Do you think there is a need to stay here?" Chapter 48:24. The surrounding people were also in an uproar as they discussed, if the divine union did not value them, what was the point of them being here? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The divine union naturally needs geniuses. However, the two of you are just trash. How dare you call us trash? The two of them were furious. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Why? Do you want to fight me? The two of them narrowed their eyes. The man with the giant axe on his back said, "We all know how strong you are. It's impossible for everyone to be on par with you." The man with the long spear on his back also said, "That's right. Could it be that you want to use your power to bully others?" Lin Xian smiled. "Why? Are you afraid? Don't worry. The two of you are not worthy of me taking action. Don't you call yourselves geniuses? I don't think you are even ants. I don't need to take action. I can find two newcomers who have just joined the Path sect to deal with you. Are you looking down on us?" The two of them were furious. Lin Xian waved his hand and sent a message to the people in the mansion. Not long after, two figures walked out. It was Dan Feng and Fan Xing. Some of you should know these two. They are newcomers who have just passed the test. Indeed, someone in the crowd nodded. I have heard of these two. They have shown extraordinary strength. They are indeed newcomers. In front, the man with the huge axe said, "You want two newcomers to fight me?" What kind of joke was this? They felt that they had been underestimated. The powerhouse with the long spear said, "We will be merciless. Although we won't take their lives, it won't be a problem to make them lie in bed for 8 to 10 years. Are you sure you want to take action?" Dan Feng walked out and said, "Cut the crap. Let's see who will lie in bed for 8 to 10 years. She waved her hand and charged towards the man with the long spear. "Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish." The man snorted, and his spear shot out like a dragon. However, the red phoenix's palm turned into a furnace that suppressed the heavens and the earth and burned everything. It directly suppressed the long spear. The heat from the long spear caused the man's palm to burn and turn into a bloody mist. Damn it. How could this be? This flame? The powerhouse's face turned ugly. The red phoenix palm formed a seal once more and slapped a palm onto the furnace. Clang! The divine furnace opened, and the fire laws danced in the air like a volcano, enveloping the world. In front of him, the man roared madly. His entire body was melting. "Stop! I admit defeat." Dan Feng snorted coldly and sent him flying with a palm strike. "Top genius? How laughable!" Her voice shocked countless people. Was this really a prodigy who had just entered? It was too terrifying. Or was it that the spear-wielding man was too weak? At this moment, Fan Xing walked over and stared at the man with the giant axe. "Let's do it." The man with the giant axe had a gloomy expression on his face, but he knew that there was no way he could retreat under the gazes of more than 10 people. He would fight with his honor. Kill. He gripped the axe with both hands and chopped down with all his might. Within the manor, endless storms were torn apart. The entire world shook. Inside the divine dwellings, there were countless formations that protected everyone's lives. Otherwise, someone would have been seriously injured by this attack. The axe was capable of splitting the heavens and splitting the earth. It contained the power of shocking thunder. The expressions of the two types of people changed. It had to be said that the other party was really strong. The others also started to worry for Fan Xing. In the face of this attack, Fan Xing's expression was calm. His palms glowed as he kept forming seals. Countless stars were condensed into a furnace. The sky instantly darkened, as if stars were flickering. Then they fell. Every single one of them was like lightning. The laws on them were very terrifying, piercing through heaven and earth. Boom, boom. A streak of star fire landed on the giant axe and was split apart by the giant axe with a deafening sound. However, there were too many starfire. There were at least 10 million souls. In the end, the giant axe was drowned. This giant axe was a terrifying sacred artifact, but at this moment, it was burning and melting. The burly man was pierced by the starfire, and more than 10 wounds appeared on his body. He vomited blood and flew backward. Fan Xing retracted his palm, and the star fire that filled the sky disappeared. He said, "You're just I don't think you're qualified to join the divine dwellings." The surrounding people were shocked. Was the battle over so quickly? These two people were also powerhouses who had joined for several years. Their strength was terrifying, but were they really unable to defeat two newcomers who had just entered? The toad jumped out and laughed loudly. "Did you see that? You two ants, do you think you're qualified to come here? Go back and tell your master that if he dares to send more spies, I'll destroy you." The two of them ran away like stray dogs. Lu Yuan and the others laughed loudly. The others were shocked. Spies? Could these two people have been sent by the Dragon Palace? A few of them narrowed their eyes. Had their identities been discovered? Lin Xian stood up and looked at the remaining people. If they wanted to join the Divine Union, they had to at least have the strength and talent of these two newcomers. Furthermore, although the Divine Union did not restrict them, they had to be loyal once they joined. Those who dared to betray the Divine Union would be killed without mercy. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous and filled with killing intent. Everyone felt as if their souls were about to split apart, and many of them broke out in cold sweat. Lin Xian's eyes emitted a golden radiance that enveloped the dozen people like a magic lamp. He said, "I know that there are more spies than these two. There are more among you. I'll give you a chance. If you want to leave now, leave immediately. Those who stay will be members of the Divine Union in the future. Once you join the Divine Union, you will be brothers forever. You can't betray us." The moment Lin Xian finished speaking, 3 more people left. They were very fast and escaped in an instant. Obviously, the 3 of them were also spies. Lin Xian ignored them and looked at the remaining 9 people. He asked, "Are you guys not leaving?" The 9 of them replied, "No, we are willing to follow you." "Great." Lin Xian nodded and laughed heartily. "The 9 of you are the first batch to join the Divine Union, regardless of your current talent or strength. The Divine Union will do its best to train you. We will let you fight for the top 30 on the stars list in a short time." "Thank you, young master." They were overjoyed. They knew that they had made the right decision this time. Lin Xian looked around again and said loudly, "Although the Divine Union is in urgent need of recruitment, not everyone can join. From now on, the Dragon Hall will be established. The Crimson Dragon will be the leader. The Unparalleled Hall will be established. The Fu Hongye will be the leader. The Elixir Hall will be established. The Dan Feng will be the leader. The Sacred Hall will also be established. I will temporarily be the hall master." When each hall recruited members, they would be divided into ordinary members and core members. There would be a corresponding promotion system. The core members of each hall would be able to enter the spiritual palace. At the moment, Lin Xian had finally laid out all the plans of the Divine Union. The Dragon Hall would be handed over to the Crimson Dragon. He would be in charge of gathering demonic beasts, strange beasts, and the 10,000 ancient tribes. The Unparalleled Hall was naturally to commemorate Unparalleled City. Lin Xian was a member of Unparalleled City. One day, he would make Unparalleled City appear again. At the moment, the Unparalleled Hall would be handed over to Fu Hongya and the others to recruit outstanding human disciples. As for the Sacred Hall, it was naturally the one that had been in the quintessential world. Lin Xian felt that the quintessential world and the buried Emperor's Star were very mysterious. One day, this passage would be opened. This would allow the traffic between the two sides to be smoother. He had established the divine union not only to resist the Dragon Palace, but also to resist the 10,000 Dragon Court and the Purple Mansion. One day, the divine union would be above the myriad realms. Chapter 48:25. The news of Lin Xian getting rid of the spies spread through the Path sect and caused quite a stir. Some people said that this kid was quite ambitious. Others said that it was useless. As long as the Dragon Palace was around, they would never allow the divine union to grow. Sending spies was just the beginning. There would be more and more powerful attacks to deal with the divine union. The people from the Dragon Palace looked gloomy. However, they did not have the time to deal with the divine union. After all, there was going to be a grand banquet in the Path sect. When the time came, they would have to challenge and fight. The patriarch of the Path sect would also attend the banquet. If they could catch the eye of the patriarch and be accepted as a disciple, they would soar. Then they would be able to soar. They would obtain 10 or even 100 times more cultivation resources than they currently had. They would be able to receive the personal guidance of the Sacred Master and even enter the core area of the Path sect to cultivate. When that happened, it would be easy for them to annihilate the divine union. The divine union continued to proceed in an orderly manner. After a few halls were established, the Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongya, and the others started to recruit members. Lin Xian had nothing to do. When he had nothing to do, he would enter the Sword World to see how the Medicine King was doing. He would also accept a few missions in exchange for the right to enter the Mystic Ability Valley and cultivate some of the Path sect's ultimate mystic abilities. One day, Lin Xian received news that the 3 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs he had taught had already been refined into elixir pills by the great sage. He would be able to obtain a third of them. Lin Xian went to the mission hall and retrieved the elixir pills. After swallowing them, he started to cultivate. Before long, a voice was heard outside. "You are finally back. After disappearing for more than a year, I thought that you had perished outside." A grumbling voice was heard. Lin Xian opened his eyes and smiled. It was Miss Bai. Bai Susu said, "Are we not that unfamiliar? I am about to join the divine union. Yet this is how you address me? Call me Susu from now on." Lin Xian smiled when he heard this. Did this mean that she had agreed to join the divine union? This was really good news. "I do have this thought, but you have to come with me before that." "Where to?" Lin Xian was puzzled. Bai Susu said, "To see my parents." Lin Xian was stunned. He had only asked her to join the divine union, not to marry her. Was he going to meet her parents so soon? Bai Susu's face reddened as she glared at Lin Xian. "You're spouting nonsense. My parents are both elders of the Tao sect. They also want to see exactly who you are, the person who has recently caused a storm in the Tao sect. Who knows, he might even give you some pointers." "Really? That's great. Let's go." Lin Xian was also delighted. He could finally meet these elders. The two of them rose into the air and flew towards the Tao sect. After flying for a while, they finally arrived in front of them. Up ahead, there were already very few people, and a terrifying aura could be felt. This was the core of the Tao sect. It seemed to have formed a world of its own. Lin Xian felt that if he didn't have a special method, he wouldn't be able to enter. Bai Susu took out a token that glowed with boundless light. Only then did she open up the barrier ahead. After entering Lin Xian's side, This was indeed the place where the elders cultivated. The inside of this space was no different from an independent world. Furthermore, it was much stronger than the great path and heaven and earth energy he possessed outside. He didn't know how many worlds had merged to form this. Suddenly, a pair of cold eyes appeared in the sky ahead. It was a pair of blue eyes that appeared in the sky. In the blink of an eye, Lin Xian and Bai Susu were shrouded within it. Lin Xian stopped in his tracks. His hair stood on end. This gaze was too terrifying. It was scarier than any great sage he had ever seen. The great dragon sword soul in his body let out a low growl. 9 sun illusions appeared on Lin Xian's body to block it. Bai Susu, who was beside him, said, "Grandpa Firmament, it's me." "So it's the little girl from the Bai family. Why did you bring someone from outside here?" An old voice with a hint of authority rang out. Bai Susu said, "My father wants to see him. This is my father's handwriting." Bai Susu opened a scroll with great path dancing on it. It was a paragraph of a letter. The pair of blue eyes slowly disappeared after they were done looking at him. "All right, let's go in." However, he could only enter your father's residence. He couldn't enter the territories of the other elders. "Thank you, Grandpa Firmament." Bai Susu kept the scroll and pulled Lin Xian and Bai Susu inside quickly. Lin Xian was shocked. This old man's aura was really terrifying. Moreover, the rules here were really strict. After Lin Xian and Bai Susu left, an old man in a blue robe appeared in the sky. His eyes were emitting a deep blue glow. 9 sun illusions. Could he be the successor of the 9 suns? No wonder he could be with the little girl from the Bai family. The Tao sect was getting stronger and stronger. The old man smiled and disappeared into the blue sky. On the other side, Bai Susu said, "That was Grandpa Firmament." Her cultivation had reached the late great sage realm, and she was known as the Firmament Saint Lord. Great sage late stage cultivation? Lin Xian was shocked. They flew all the way and flew past many immortal mountains. Finally, they landed in a mountain range. There were a few pavilions in the mountain range. Although there weren't many, they were all above the spirit eye of the supreme grade spirit vein. On a mountain peak in the distance, there was a man. He seemed to have turned into heaven and earth and was cultivating. At the foot of the mountain, there was a lake. There were a few bamboo houses. Beside the lake, there was a middle-aged woman. She was cultivating there too. She seemed to have turned into the lake water. After Lin Xian saw it, he was shocked. These two people's understanding of the Tao was too deep. It had reached an unbelievable level. Bai Susu also stopped and said softly, "She's my mother, and she's my father." Lin Xian stood there and watched silently. He felt his Tao and was enlightened. After a long time, the middle-aged man walked down from the mountain peak and came to Lin Xian in an instant. The middle-aged woman opened her eyes and said with a smile, "Susu, you're back." Susu walked up and said, "He is the Lin Xian I mentioned." The middle-aged couple turned to look at Lin Xian with kindness in their eyes. However, their cultivation levels were high after all, and Lin Xian still felt an immense pressure. The 9 young divine body automatically defended, and the illusion of 9 suns appeared. The middle-aged man, the levitation Saint Lord, nodded. As expected of the successor of the 9 young divine body, "Young man, you are very lucky to have the 9 young divine body. After reaching the greater mastery, your strength is far above mine. Senior, you are too polite," Lin Xian said humbly. The levitation Saint Lord smiled. "You don't have to be humble. The 9 young divine body that reached the greater mastery in history. It swept through everything. It was even above the saint realm. However, it was too difficult to reach the greater mastery. How confident are you?" Chapter 48, 26. Lin Xian's eyes glowed with a golden radiance as he said, "Give me time, and I will surpass everything." "How bold!" The levitation saint laughed. "This is the most interesting answer I've heard in a few thousand years. Young man, you are very confident. However, this path will only get harder as you progress. You might not be able to break through in a few thousand years. You have to be prepared. I also heard that you have a conflict with the Dragon Prince. How do you plan to face the Dragon Palace in the future?" It was obvious that the levitation saint was also very concerned about Lin Xian's attitude. After all, Bai Susu was also someone who wanted to join the divine union. Lin Xian said that even if they were not enemies, they would fight for the throne in the future. There would definitely be a battle. Even if it wasn't the Dragon Prince, and I might have a battle. Lin Xian's eyes glowed even more fiercely. It was as if he had turned into two suns. The middle-aged woman was shocked. Even the levitation saint was stunned. To be honest, he had not expected Lin Xian to have the confidence to compete with the Dragon Prince. That was the Emperor's son. When he grew up, he would dominate the world. Even a greater success, nine-young divine body, might not be able to compete with the Emperor's son. After all, the Emperor's son had the bloodline of a Dvarch and an Emperor's scripture. He might even have an extreme weapon by his side. Such an existence would be an uncrowned king in an era where there were no thearchs. Lin Xian said, as if he had sensed the doubts of the two people. "From what I know, the Emperor's son has a unique bloodline and an ancient scripture. His future is limitless. However, I have read the ancient records of the Tao sect. It is recorded that the Emperor's son will dominate the world when he grows up. He is even more terrifying than a divine body or a sacred body. However, he will never become an emperor. His bloodline is his advantage and also his shackle. In other words, anyone who can become an emperor is not an emperor's son. Why don't I have this opportunity? Young man, very good. I have high hopes for you." The levitation saint smiled. He seemed to be witnessing the rise of a young emperor. He said, "Susu can join the divine union. Besides, I don't have much to give you, so I'll give you a greeting gift." As he spoke, he stretched out two fingers and tapped on Lin Xian's forehead. Countless great daos intertwined between Lin Xian's brows. Lin Xian was stunned. A wisp of an illusion appeared in his eyes, and a voice rang out by his ear. "This is the scene of me comprehending the grand Tao in the past. How much you can comprehend will depend on your fortune." Lin Xian stood there, as if he had fallen into an epiphany, as if he had turned into a statue. Bai Susu was worried. The middle-aged woman smiled and said, "Don't worry. He's comprehending." The levitation saint waved his hand and left with Bai Susu and the other two. A cool breeze blew by, stirring up the surface of the lake. Only Lin Xian remained standing there. 2 months later, Bai Susu came by and found that Lin Xian was still meditating there. She left. On the 3rd month, she sat by the lakeside again. At this time, Lin Xian's body shook, and he let out a long cry. The 9 heavens and 10 earths were shaking, and there was even thunder in the sky. Bai Susu stood up and said, "How was it? Did you comprehend anything?" Lin Xian said, "Thank you, Father. I feel like I'm about to break through. I need strength. In the Sage King realm, resources alone were not enough to break through. Even if you were given more resources, your level was limited, and you wouldn't be able to break through. For example, a wooden bucket could only hold a certain amount of water. Even if you were given an ocean, you could only hold a bucket of water. As for the bottleneck, you needed to comprehend the grand Tao and break through to a higher level. Only then could you expand your capacity for strength." Lin Xian had obtained a great opportunity. His understanding of the grand Tao deepened, and he felt that he could hold more strength. Now, all he needed was strength. "Susu, bring me out. I want to return to the god's residence." Bai Susu brought Lin Xian quickly, and they left the core area. Then they returned to the god's residence. After entering, the thunder in the sky seemed to be faintly descending. Bai Susu frowned and felt a sense of fear. Lin Xian said, "Go back first. I'll look for you after I break through." Bai Susu nodded. She said, "Why do I feel that something is wrong? Do you need my father to protect you?" Lin Xian looked up and said, "It's just a punishment. It's not the first time I've seen it. It's fine." Bai Susu was shocked. Heaven's punishment was the legendary punishment from the heavenly Tao. It was even more terrifying than the heavenly tribulation. Why would Lin Xian face heaven's punishment? She didn't understand. The Crimson Dragon flew over to persuade her that this kid had a way to deal with it. All right, Bai Susu returned to ask her father. Actually, when Lin Xian was about to break through, the Levitation Saint Monarch already felt it. Not only him, but the entire core area was alarmed. Why would heaven's punishment descend? In just an instant, Lin Xian disappeared. Only then did heaven's punishment slowly disappear. What's going on? They went to investigate. Many powerful elders sent their subordinates down to investigate. The Levitation Saint Monarch also called Bai Susu back and asked, "How is that kid related to heaven's punishment?" "I don't know." Bai Susu shook her head. Then they went to investigate and finally got some news. After all, Lin Xian was very famous in Taiching Ancient City. Soon they got news about Lin Xian. How did this happen? Immortal tomb body. Bai Susu was shocked and didn't dare to believe it. The Levitation Saint Monarch frowned. Someone from Immortal Tomb could reach this step, and he could even break through now. This is too unbelievable. Susu, his future doesn't look good. The Levitation Saint Monarch frowned. "I don't care. Father, you have to help him." The Levitation Saint Monarch sighed. "With his talent and the 9 sons descendant, I can recommend him to the old ancestors during the Dao Sec ceremony. Some of the old ancestors will be interested and might even take him in as a disciple, but now the chances are slim. No one will nurture someone who has no hope in the future. Impossible. There must be a mistake. How can Lin Xian be someone from Immortal Tomb? You know that he is very strong." Bai Susu didn't believe it. The Levitation Saint Monarch said, "Forget it. I will still recommend him to the old ancestors. But I don't know the details." The other elders also got news about Lin Xian. Some sighed. What a pity. Most people didn't pay attention to it anymore. Lin Xian was strong and could compete with the Dragon Prince. But how far could someone without a future go? The Dao sect was also in an uproar. They felt their hair stand on end. At this moment, everyone looked up. The red lightning seemed to be able to destroy everything. Even the people from Dragon Palace were shocked. What was going on? "Go investigate." Countless people went to investigate. The people from the God Manor were also on guard, because the lightning above them was the most terrifying. This was the legendary heaven's punishment. Naylan Liang was shocked. Why did it come to their God Manor? Damn it, if the heavens want to strike, they should strike the people from Dragon Palace. Those who just joined were even more terrified. They thought that destruction was coming. Chapter 48, 27. The Crimson Dragon was also surprised. Damn, is there anything wrong with this kid? After all, the current sky punishment was too terrifying. Lin Xian's face was cold. He said to the Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongya, and the others that he would start the seal now. No one was allowed to enter the entire divine abode. I'm going to go into seclusion to break through. You don't have to worry. After he finished speaking, he walked towards a large hall and activated the array formation after entering. Then, he entered the sword world. When he entered this world, he felt that the sky punishment's aura that threatened him had disappeared. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. This sword world was too mysterious. It could even block the sky punishment, of the heavenly Tao. I wonder who created this world. He didn't care so much anymore. After entering, he took out the spiritual herbs that he had obtained before, and the pills that he had rewarded. He swallowed all of them. Energy quantification spread out in his body and surged. Lin Xian roared towards the sky. Not enough. Not enough. At this moment, the great dragon sword spirit and 9 yang divine body required too much energy. Lin Xian flew towards the 4 spirit valley. When he arrived, the spirit vein was also surprised. This kid's aura was growing at an extremely fast speed. Could it be that he was about to break through? Lin Xian arrived at the valley and looked at the Medicine King. At this moment, the Medicine King had recovered quite a bit under the illumination of the 4 spirit veins and the dragon flame star in the sky. Half of the Medicine King should be enough for him to break through. After all, he had eaten a lot of heaven and earth treasures before. Seeing this scene, the spirit dragon roared, "Kid, leave it behind. Maybe it can grow again." They had been guarding this Medicine King for so many years. They couldn't bear to destroy it just like that. Lin Xian nodded to show that he understood. With a wave of his hand, he kept all the spiritual herbs on the ground, leaving only a root in the soil. Maybe it would grow out in the future. After swallowing half of the Medicine King, he felt as if 1,000,000 volcanoes were erupting in his body. His body was about to split open. He roared towards the sky. Boom, boom. At the same time, dark clouds gathered in the sky, and lightning descended. Was there a lightning tribulation here too? The 4 spirit beasts were shocked. Lin Xian's eyes also shone brightly as he charged at Ray. As long as it wasn't heavenly punishment, he wasn't afraid. No matter how strong the lightning tribulation was, he had the confidence to contend against it. The lightning in the sky descended, and it was even more terrifying than the lightning outside. Lin Xian fought fiercely. His body was shattered, but his eyes were even brighter. After this battle, he would become a late-stage Saint King, and his power would be much stronger than before. Outside, those people were waiting anxiously, especially Fu Hongye and the others. I wonder how he is doing? However, what made them heave a sigh of relief was that the sky punishment in the sky had gradually disappeared. In the Tao sect, the other people were rapidly gathering information. They already knew that the heavenly punishment was coming from the divine dwellings. It must have something to do with Lin Xian and the others, so they specifically collected information about them. Not long after, Dragon Palace received the news. When they saw the news, they laughed complacently. So that brat was from the immortal burial ground. He had no future. He was a dead man. Is a person who is not tolerated by heaven and earth qualified to compete with our Dragon Palace? He is courting death. The other people in the Tao sect were also in an uproar. Some people sighed. This Lin Xian was so heaven-defying. I thought he would be the second Dragon Prince. I didn't expect that he couldn't be compared to the Dragon Prince. That's right. Dragon Palace was founded by the Dragon Prince, and the Dragon Prince was only the second. If he couldn't even be compared to the Dragon Prince, how could he compete with Dragon Palace? He is strong now, but his strength will only reach this level in his lifetime. And we all have a limitless future. These people discussed animatedly. Dragon Palace sneered. A mere divine dwellings was nothing to be afraid of. After Lan Jiyu received the news, his eyes shone with a sharp light. Great. If Lin Xian continued to grow, she wouldn't have much of a chance. But the other party was from the immortal burial ground, and his strength wouldn't grow any stronger. This way, she would have a chance to strike. In an instant, the divine dwellings were looked down upon again. Originally, Fu Hongye had contacted many geniuses to join the Crimson Dragon sect, but these people had all rejected them. Even Lin Xian didn't have a future. The divine dwellings couldn't grow at all. What should I do? Half a month had passed. Fu Hongye frowned. I wonder how little Uncle Master is doing. Lu Yuan also said that the geniuses from before didn't plan to join. The Crimson Dragon gritted his teeth. Let's not care about that for now. Let's wait for this kid to come out of seclusion. After waiting for another half a month, the sealed hall finally opened. Lin Xian walked out with a smile on his face. After a month of thunderous battle, he finally resisted the lightning tribulation and successfully broke through. At this moment, he had reached the late-stage Grand Sage realm. Kid, you broke through. The Crimson Dragon was surprised. Lu Yuan, Fu Hongya, and the others' eyes also lit up. Great. Not only was Lin Xian not in danger, but he had also broken through. This allowed a huge rock in their hearts to finally be lifted. Great. Who said that we were from the immortal burial ground? We could have broken through. Okay? The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. The toad also roared. Yes, let's go out and let those people see. How dare they say that our divine dwellings have no future? They must be blind. Lin Xian also learned about the situation a month ago. It turned out that during this period of time when he broke through in seclusion, a lot of news about him had already spread outside. Even some of the geniuses who had originally agreed to join the divine dwellings had rejected them. Lin Xian knew that he had to go out and show his strength. Let's go out and take a look. Lin Xian and the others walked out. The Tao sect was becoming more and more lively. After all, the Tao sect's grand ceremony was about to begin. It was a grand event. The people of the Tao sect were all busy, but when they saw Lin Xian and the others, they were all stunned. It was this kid. Wasn't he from the immortal burial ground? He actually dared to come out. A person with no future was not worth paying attention to. Many people shook their heads, but soon they were stunned. They discovered that an extremely terrifying aura was coming from Lin Xian's body. This was the cultivation of a late-stage Grand Sage realm. That's not right. I remember that this kid was a mid-stage Grand Sage realm before. How did he become a late-stage Grand Sage realm? Could it be that he broke through? For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. When the news spread, everyone rushed over to take a look. Heavens, are my eyes playing tricks on me? He really broke through. How was this possible? Wasn't he from the immortal burial ground? He couldn't break through at all. He had no future. What was going on with him? Could it be that he broke the curse? What kind of joke was this? How terrified were the two people from the immortal burial ground in history? They were called young, great emperors, but didn't they fall in the end? But what was going on with this kid's cultivation? Could it be that he wasn't from the immortal burial ground? Was the news fake? For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. Chapter 48:28. The people from Dragon Palace were also stunned when they heard the news. Did you say that the kid broke through? How was that possible? They sneered. Who spread the fake news? However, their subordinates shook their heads. No, the kid came out personally. He was in the square of the True Path sect, and there were already countless people watching. Damn it, let's go and take a look. The people from Dragon Palace walked over. Lanzu also shook her head crazily when she heard the news. Impossible. It must be fake. She gritted her teeth. She also wanted to see what the other party was doing. A group of people walked over. Get out of the way. A cold voice came from behind the crowd. Everyone was unhappy. Who was so arrogant? However, when they saw the people from Dragon Palace, they all obediently made way. The people from Dragon Palace walked over and said, "That person from the immortal graveyard was a piece of trash. How dare he be so arrogant? Cripple your ass." The toad ran over. "Grandson, kneel down and kowtow to your grandfather." "Damn toad, do you want to die? Damn grandson, do you want to die?" The toad's mouth could anger people to death. The people from Dragon Palace were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They ignored the toad and stared at Lin Xian. In the next moment, their pupils shrank. They originally wanted to see a joke, but they found that Lin Xian seemed to have really broken through. How was that possible? Lan Xiu also exclaimed, "No, an illusion. You must have used an illusion. This is a smokescreen. You are a person without a future. It is impossible for you to break through." She looked like a lunatic. Lin Xian glanced at her and said indifferently, "You don't have the strength, but you want others to decline? You are really like an ant. My cultivation is a smokescreen. I'm afraid your cultivation is too low to see through it." There were experts present. They could tell whether it was an illusion or not. Lin Xian stood there with his hands behind his back. His aura spread clearly in all directions. It must be an illusion. The people from Dragon Palace roared. There were indeed experts in the crowd. They were shocked because they found that it didn't seem to be an illusion. However, no one dared to explain at this time. Whoever helped Lin Xian was going against Dragon Palace. Lin Xian's face darkened as he stared at the people from Dragon Palace. Was this an illusion? Why don't you personally test my strength? He looked at the people in front of him and said, "You guys are too weak. Come at me together. If you can block a slap from me, I will admit that it is an illusion." Everyone gasped. At this moment, there were more than a dozen people from Dragon Palace. All of them were top experts. Now that they were being looked down upon, they wanted to fight together? This Lin Xian was probably too arrogant. "You dare to look down on me?" The people of Dragon Palace roared. Lan Yu also roared angrily. "Despicable, don't be so arrogant." Lin Xian laughed. "Me? Arrogant? Who was the one who kept saying that I had no future? Suppressing the divine union? How dare you say I'm arrogant now? So what? If you don't like it, then come at me." Lin Xian stood there, as if he wanted to challenge all the experts of Dragon Palace. However, Lan Yu pulled a long face, even if his opponent hadn't broken through. So, what? When his opponent had been a middle saint, he had already been able to kill his brother. He had even destroyed the incarnation of the Dragon Prince. These people were no match for them at all. Sure enough, the rest of the people from Dragon Palace didn't dare to step forward. They gritted their teeth and said, "Brat, you are arrogant." Now, the experts of Dragon Palace are preparing for the grand ceremony of True Path Sect. They don't have time to deal with you. Otherwise, do you think you can contend with any expert from the Profound Role? That's right. You were just lucky last time. Coupled with the carelessness of the Dragon Prince's incarnation, you succeeded. Otherwise, the Dragon Prince would have killed you with a finger if he had come personally. The people from Dragon Palace roared. Lin Xian said indifferently, "What's the point of talking so much? Let's fight. Let's fight to the end. A life and death battle is fine." Having said that, he drew a life and death contract. Dragon Palace, who dares to sign a life and death battle with me? The people from Dragon Palace were so angry that they wanted to vomit blood. They wanted to roar, but Lin Xian drew the life and death contract to the highest heavens. His voice reverberated throughout True Path Sect. "I will wait for you here for 3 days. Within 3 days, I will fight any expert from Dragon Palace to the death." When the news came out, the crowd was in an uproar. 3 days was enough to invite any expert. It was even possible to invite the real body of the Dragon Prince. "Kid, just you wait." The people from Dragon Palace went back and prepared to invite the experts who were in seclusion. However, those people didn't come at all. They only had one goal, which was the grand ceremony of True Path Sect. Therefore, they didn't have time to bother with Lin Xian. Just like that, 2 days passed, and no one dared to come. The Crimson Dragon sneered. "So, this is Dragon Palace? What a coward." The Toad snorted. "Let's see who's the ant." They started to recruit talents. Sure enough, some people went up. They had no choice. Some of them wanted to join before, but they gave up because Lin Xian was from the immortal graveyard. Now that Lin Xian broke through and broke the curse, they saw hope. In addition, Lin Xian's strong life and death battle suppressed the entire Dragon Palace. In other words, no one in Dragon Palace dared to go against Lin Xian. If they followed such a person, their future would be limitless. In a short time, many people went up. The Crimson Dragon and Fu Hongya went through the assessment hurriedly. Those who met the requirements would join their main hall and become ordinary members. Then they would become core disciples based on their contributions and missions to the spiritual abode. Many geniuses joined the spiritual abode. On the other side, the people from Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Damn it, they wanted to suppress the other party. Who would have thought that they would benefit the other party? Damn it, they couldn't let them be arrogant. A group of people went back to kill. Humph! Whoever joined the Divine Union would be an enemy of Dragon Palace. They were emitting a cold aura. Many people felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian stood up. Who dares to fight me to the death? Those people retreated in fear. Get lost if you don't dare. After saying that, Lin Xian drew a sword mark in front of him. Anyone who crossed the line would die. Lin Xian alone intimidated the heroes of Dragon Palace. Countless people were shocked. This was a true powerhouse. One word from him could suppress everyone. In a short time, more people wanted to join the Divine Union. The people from Dragon Palace were furious. They couldn't beat the other party here, so they might as well go back. After the ceremony ended, any expert from Dragon Palace would be able to destroy the other party. At that time, would the people from the Divine Union still dare to be arrogant? 3 days had passed, and Lin Xian withdrew the life and death contract. He said faintly, Dragon Palace was really disappointing. Such a person dared to suppress the Divine Union? What a joke! He looked around and said, join the Divine Union, and I'll bring you to the top of the world. Countless people yearned for it. Seeing that many people wanted to join, Lin Xian smiled. He left the details to Fu Hongya, the Crimson Dragon. He didn't need to care. Bai Susu was also there. When she saw that Lin Xian was fine, she was so excited that she almost cried. That's great. I was really worried about you. Lin Xian smiled. Don't worry. So what if they are from the immortal treasury? I can also stand at the top if I walk the divine path. Chapter 48:29. Bai Susu said, I've also joined the Divine Union. Why don't you give me the title of Hall Master? Lin Xian smiled. You're too late. We've already divided them. You rascal! Bai Susu was fuming. Lin Xian said, however, how could I treat you unfairly? I'll let you be the Grand Elder of the Divine Union. That was more like it. Bai Susu snorted. Those two guys aren't famous. Let me help you recruit them. Indeed, the Crimson Dragon and Fu Hongya had been busy for a long time, yet they had only recruited a few dozen people. The moment Bai Susu left, hundreds of people surrounded them. They had no choice. Bai Susu was very famous, and some experts knew that her parents were elders of the Tao sect. They lived in the core area. The Divine Union could only grow if it had the support of elders. After all, even the Dragon Palace had the support of many elders and patriarchs. The founder of the Dragon Palace was the Dragon Prince, who was an emperor. Those patriarchs attached great importance to it. Actually, it wasn't just the Dragon Palace. Anyone who wanted to establish a faction in the Tao sect had the support of an elder. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to sustain themselves. The situation here had finally settled down. Lin Xian was more relaxed. He continued to consolidate his cultivation base in the remaining days before entering the Sword World. He went to the Four-Spirit Valley. He had already swallowed the Medicine King, and only the roots were left. He picked out a few precious spirit herbs and planted them again. Lin Xian didn't even plant 10,000-year-old spirit herbs. He had planted 20,000-year-old ones. There were a total of 3 of them. These hadn't been easy to come by. Previously, he had collected all sorts of spirit herbs for Xia Jiuyo. These had all been collected during that time. However, he didn't know if these would be able to save Xia Jiuyo and extend her lifespan. Lin Xian hadn't been confident before. However, after the nurturing of the Sword World, that might not necessarily be the case. Lin Xian had discovered when he had swallowed the Medicine King, although he hadn't planted it for long, the effects were indeed much better than before. In other words, the mystery of the Sword World was far beyond his imagination. When he had time, he would make a trip to the spirit region to see if there were any precious spirit herbs there. If he could obtain it, he would immediately return to the true spirit world. He gave these spiritual herbs to Xia Jiuyo to prolong his life. With the addition of Bai Susu, the Celestial Palace grew stronger and stronger. The people of Dragon Palace gnashed their teeth. Damn it, did the elder's daughter join as well? Lan Zhiyu's eyes were red. Why was the other party so lucky? She gritted her teeth. It seemed that she had to take action herself. He would try his best to get rid of the other party before the ceremony. Otherwise, if the other elders or old men took a fancy to him during the ceremony, he would not have another chance in the future. Thinking of this, she took her heart of the realm and went to find an expert from the Dragon Palace, Long Jingfeng, an expert of the Wind Dragon clan. He was an expert on the Profound Board. Both their strength and status were extremely high. At this moment, he was also in seclusion for the Dao Sect's grand ceremony. On this day, Lan Zhiyu came to his residence and asked for an audience. A battle servant walked over and said, "My young master is cultivating with all his might and won't see any guests. Please return." Lan Zhiyu clenched her teeth. She knew that, with her current status, she simply didn't have the qualifications to see him. She said, "I know that young Master Jingfeng is at a critical moment in his cultivation. I'm willing to give him half a world's worth of resources just to see him." The battle servant was stunned. Then he said, "Wait here, I'll go and report." Half a world's worth of resources? How much was that? He couldn't imagine it at all. Therefore, he couldn't make the decision on this matter. Soon, he returned. "My young master invites you." Lan Zhiyu was invited in. In the main hall in front, a man in a green robe stood up. Dragon scales flashed on his body, and the law of wind revolved around him. "So it's Zhiyu. Why are you looking for me?" Long Jingfeng smiled. Lan Zhiyu said, "I want you to introduce me to the Dragon Crown Prince. If you can do it, I'll give you an entire world, let alone half a world." Long Jingfeng was stunned. Then he said, "It should be because of your brother. You want to take revenge, but you don't have the strength, so you're prepared to rely on the Dragon Crown Prince's power." "That's right." Lan Zhiyu nodded. She didn't intend to hide this. Long Jingfeng smiled. Someone like the Dragon Crown Prince was too arrogant. He had countless women by his side. You might not be able to get him to help you take revenge. Why don't you stay by my side? I'll help you take revenge. Long Jingfeng was also from the dragon race, the Wind Dragon race. He was also very strong. Lan Zhiyu thought about it and gritted her teeth. "Thank you for thinking so highly of me, young Master Jingfeng, but I still want to see the Dragon Crown Prince. Even if I become dust by his side, I'll accept it. This is my world core. I'll give it to you, young Master Jingfeng. I hope you can help me. After it's done, I won't forget your benefits." Even a supreme saint would be jealous of an entire world's worth of resources, let alone him. Long Jingfeng took it and said, "Okay, I'll introduce you. I can even help you stay by the Dragon Crown Prince's side and get what you want. But you have to help me. What do you want?" Lan Zhiyu asked. Long Jingfeng said, "Resources. More cultivation resources. I'll introduce you to the Dragon Crown Prince, and you give me a world. If I help you become the Dragon Crown Prince's Dao companion, you give me 3 worlds. How about that? 3 worlds." Lan Zhiyu's pupils shrank. She couldn't take it out, but if she really became the Dragon Crown Princess Tao companion, it would be different. Her status and the resources she needed would all undergo earth-shattering changes. She gritted her teeth and said, "Okay, as long as I can become the Dragon Crown Princess Tao companion, I'm willing to give you 3 worlds." "Very good." Long Jingfeng smiled. He said, "Go back and dress up. I'll take care of the rest." Lan Jiu left. She had hope in her heart. As long as she could get the Dragon Crown Princess support, killing Lin Xian would be easy. Lin Xian didn't know any of this. He was currently refining pills with Dan Feng. Lin Xian was also an expert in the pill Dao, and he had already promised the first batch of 9 people. He wanted these 9 people to fight for the top 30 on the stars ranking. He was a man of his word. These 3 people's strength was average. It was impossible for them to enter the top 30 on their own. However, he wanted to go against the heavens. If even these impossible people could do it, what would the others think? They would probably go crazy and want to join the divine union. That was the effect he wanted. Lin Xian was already very good at refining pills. Coupled with Dan Feng and Fan Xing, the 2 of them were top experts. Therefore, cauldron after cauldron of pills were refined. After the 9 people received them, they were so excited that they cried. They said, "Young master, we swear to follow you to death." Lin Xian smiled and said, "Hurry up and consume them. As for martial arts, let the Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongya, and the others teach you. If there's anything you don't understand, just ask. I'll definitely make you the first batch of experts." Chapter 4830. Under the guidance of a large amount of elixir pills and martial arts, the strength of the 9 of them improved by leaps and bounds. Finally, under the leadership of Crimson Dragon, they started to challenge the experts on the star ranking. These 9 people had not been able to make it onto the star ranking previously. However, they had done it this time. They first challenged the 85th person on the star ranking and succeeded. Subsequently, the 70th and 60th star ranking got closer and closer. In an instant, there was an uproar. F***CK. Someone had risen. Their ranking had risen so quickly. Furthermore, it was not just 1 person, but 9 people. Were these 9 people crazy? Could they have had a fortuitous encounter? They had asked around, and finally found out that these 9 people were actually from the Divine Union. Furthermore, they had joined not long ago. The Divine Union had only been established for a few years, and these people had only joined for 1 or 2 years. Were they already so terrifying? The Crimson Dragon said, "That's right. Do you see that? If you join the Divine Union, your strength will improve by leaps and bounds. What are you hesitating for?" In an instant, there was an uproar. The people from the Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Stop them! They had also mobilized the experts on the star ranking. However, in the end, these 9 people successfully made it to the top 30 of the star ranking. In an instant, the Path sect was in an uproar. The top 30 of the star ranking had changed completely. Apart from the people from the Dragon Palace, the Divine Union had the most people. It took up almost a third. Many people were envious. They had no hope of making it onto the star ranking. Even if they did, they would be suppressed by the Dragon Palace. If they did not join the Dragon Palace, they would be severely suppressed. However, they now saw hope in the Divine Union. Go quickly. This time, the result of challenging the star ranking was very good. Hundreds of people rushed to the Divine Union in an instant, wanting to join. The Crimson Dragon was so happy that his mouth was crooked. This was great. This would be a very effective group of experts. With more people, they could carry out various actions. For example, they could form teams to accept missions from the Path sect and conquer other worlds. All of these required manpower. Some worlds were barren and only had demonic beasts. However, They had large amounts of spirit veins, mineral veins, and various precious metals. In order to seize these resources in such worlds, one had to go through countless battles. One had to fight with demonic beasts and experts from other worlds. All of these required people. With the addition of these geniuses, not only did the Divine Union have a large number of experts, but these geniuses also had families and sects behind them. That was also a limitless amount of resources. Therefore, the Divine Union was extremely lively right now. Nalan Liang and Yurun were both excited. They had joined earlier than the other 9 people, so they had obtained more pills and resources. At this moment, the 2 of them had already charged into the top 10 of the STARS rankings. He had also become one of the top experts on the STARS list. Neither of them dared to believe it. One had to know that Nalan Liang had not joined the Tao sect twice. Although Yurin had joined, he was only an ordinary disciple. But now, they were standing in a dazzling place, receiving the worship of countless people. All this was given to them by Lin Xian. As for the Crimson Dragon, Toad, Fu Hongya, and Lu Yuan, they had already begun to compete on the Jade Board. The Divine Union was getting stronger and stronger. The people of Dragon Palace gritted their teeth and began to secretly prepare and gather strength. They wouldn't allow the Divine Union to continue growing. However, some people sneered. It was useless. Everything the other party did was futile. When the Tao sect's grand ceremony came, everyone would know how powerful Dragon Palace was. That would be the place where they would display their strength. Lin Xian and Nalan Liang's side was going very smoothly. However, the Nalan family was in a crisis. Nalan Yanran's brows were tightly furrowed. This time, she was facing a choice between life and death. It had already been more than 2 years since she had returned from the Medicine Star. However, she had provoked a formidable enemy. After returning from the Medicine Star, she had gained a lot. However, she had not obtained the Medicine King. She could only feel depressed. However, on the way back, she had discovered a unique beast under the starry sky. This had made her feel very excited. This unique beast was very young. If she could capture it, it would be a heaven-defying treasure. It would be even more precious than the Medicine King. One had to know that besides her strength and talent, she was so terrifying because she had previously encountered a fortuitous encounter and obtained the Ice Phoenix's nirvana. This time, she had encountered another good thing. It was a demonic dragon. It was a unique species of the dragon tribe. It was very precious. Its entire body was a treasure. Nalan Yanran felt that her good luck had come again. Therefore, she chased after it with all her might. Although the demonic dragon was small, it had all kinds of great magical powers of the dragon clan. In the end, it escaped. Nalan Yanran felt that it was a pity. Such a great opportunity had been lost for no reason. How could she not feel heartache? However, there was nothing she could do. She thought that this matter was going to be settled. However, a year ago, the demonic dragon returned and brought an expert with it. The other party came for revenge and found Nalan Yanran. In that battle, Nalan Yanran was very frightened. She and the experts of the Tianzong sect went to carry out a mission and were killed. Except for her, who was seriously injured and had to flee, the others had all died. Moreover, the ones who chased after her were the demonic dragon and a demonic man. Nalan Yanran's face became incomparably ugly. She knew that the other party had returned for revenge. She could only hide. In the following year, she lived very nervously. She was afraid that the other party would come to her door at any time. Half a year ago, she finally quietly returned to the family and breathed a sigh of relief. With the strength of the Nalan family, so what if the other party came for revenge? However, the matter was not over. It was much more serious than she had imagined. She found that after returning to the family for a month, the people around her died every day. Those people had the aura of the demonic path and were abnormally ferocious. Nalan Yenran would never forget this aura because it was the same as the aura of the injuries on her body. In other words, the other party had found her and could come and go freely in her family. This caused her to become extremely terrified. She went to her father and grandfather for help. There were even several great sages protecting her. However, it was useless. Nalan Yenran did not die. The great sages did not die. However, the Nalan family had people dying every day. For a time, the Nalan family was in a state of panic. The elders of the Nalan family also frowned. Previously, they valued Nalan Yenran, but now the other party had caused such a great loss to the family. If they did not solve it well, their family would suffer heavy losses. For a time, the status of the Nalan family rapidly declined. The people of their bloodline went crazy. They used all kinds of methods to contact the other party and decided to compensate. However, it was useless. The other party replied that he only wanted Nalan Yenran's life. Damn it, the people of Nalan Yenran's bloodline went crazy with anger. The other party was obviously a great sage expert who was good at all kinds of concealment and assassination. He came and went without a trace. They could only passively defend. Chapter 48:31. Damn it. Nalan Yenran gritted her teeth. Would she have to stay in the family for the rest of her life? Was this a joke? Nalan Yenran's grandfather's eyes flickered. It seemed that they had to find a way to get rid of this danger. Grandpa, what should we do? The old man said, invite the experts here. We'll gather a group of experts and wait for him to come. Then we'll fight him to the death. This is the only way to get rid of the danger. Otherwise, you'll live in the shadows for the rest of your life. Nalan Yenran gritted her teeth and said, all right, this time, no matter the cost. Yenran's father said, I'm afraid we can only provide resources. After all, the family is not optimistic about us. If we can get through this crisis, Yenran, you'll still be the number one in the family. Otherwise, the number one in the younger generation will change hands. The old man said, this is easy. Invite the experts on the Holy Gulf list. We can use some of our resources. Nalan Yenran's side acted quickly. She went to invite the experts, including the experts from the Heavenly Sect and the experts on the Holy Gulf list. Nalan Yenran promised a lot of resources, which made even the great saints jealous. However, when those people learned about the strange things that happened to the Nalan family, they all refused. There were experts who died mysteriously in the Nalan family every day. This kind of thing could not be hidden at all. It had already spread. In an instant, countless people were talking about it. Most of them knew that Nalan Yenran had offended a mysterious expert. That was why she was being hunted. The experts from the Heavenly Sect immediately shook their heads and refused. Although there were top geniuses among them who thought that they were extraordinary, they did not want to provoke such a terrifying expert for no reason. Even some of the people who were ranked lower on the Holy Gulf list refused. Nalan Yenran continued to increase the chips, and as expected, someone came. Even Nalan Yenran's grandfather personally went out and invited an incredible expert. That's great. Nalan Yenran's father was happy. Yenran, we're saved. The Six Paths itinerant has agreed. The Six Paths itinerant, Nalan Yenran exclaimed. She naturally knew that the Six Paths itinerant was an expert from the Six Paths sect. At the same time, he was ranked 2001 on the Holy Gulf list. Nothing would go wrong if he helped. Great. Nalan Yenran clenched her fists. She saw hope. She said, why don't we invite more people? It's always safer with more people. All right, I'll leave it to you. Next, Nalan Yenran spent a lot of money to invite a group of experts. With such resources, there were finally people who were envious and went for it. At the other side, in the Tao sect, Nailan Liang was shocked when he received the news. How could he not pay attention to the matters of the Nailan family? Thus, he soon found out. Especially when he learned that Nailan Yanran had taken out the bright moon returning clouds painting. His eyes were red. This was a treasure that he had always wanted to obtain. However, no matter how he begged Nailan Yanran, she wouldn't give it to him. After all, his status wasn't as high as hers. Now that the other party had actually taken it out, he immediately went to find Lin Xian. He smiled and said, "Boss Lin, I have something good that you have to help me with." "What's going on?" Lin Xian was surprised. Nailan Liang said, "It's about our Nailan family." He told her everything that had happened before. Lin Xian also frowned. Nailan Liang said, "Boss Lin didn't need to worry. That mysterious expert had already been challenged by the Six Paths cultivator. He is ranked 2001 on the Holy Gulf list. He is very powerful, so we shouldn't be in any danger. Let's go and support him. When the time comes, I will beg that sister. Perhaps she will give me the bright moon returning clouds painting. Boss, this is a good thing. It contains great Tao. When the time comes, we can comprehend it together. There is no need to comprehend it together. We are brothers. Since you need it, I will naturally agree." The Nailan family was also a big family. Lin Xian also wanted to make friends with them. Furthermore, he had met Nailan Yanran before. If he could form a good relationship with Luo Yunyang, the Nailan family would stand on his side, and the divine union would gain another powerful ally. How could Lin Xian miss out on such an opportunity? "All right, go and tell the family that we will be there when the time comes." "That's great, Boss Lin." Nailan Liang was very happy. He quickly sent the news to the family. At the same time, Nailan Yanran also started to make preparations. She wasn't with the family. Instead, she went to the White Crane Tower and booked the 5th floor. At the same time, she set a time and prepared to take charge of the 5th floor. Then she would invite the other experts to come and issue a challenge. The Nailan family spread the news that they wanted to challenge the mysterious expert. The other party would definitely come. 5 days later, Nailan Yanran sat on the 5th floor of the White Crane Tower. Beside her were some disciples of the Nailan family. There were also many people. There were people from the Sky sect, as well as other families and sections. They had all come to support her. She didn't care about these people. These people were just there to support her. The most important one was the unaffiliated Six Paths. That powerhouse was the person she valued the most. Outside the White Crane Tower, Lin Xian and Nailan Liang stopped. Lin Xian had a strange look on his face. He hadn't expected to come to the White Crane Tower again. It couldn't be helped. The White Crane Tower was too famous. Even if there was a big battle, it wouldn't be damaged. After all, it was an ancient tower formed by the body of a great sage. "Boss Lin, let's go." Nailan Liang was very happy as he led the way. When they reached the 5th floor, they saw many experts. Those people also turned their heads to look at them. Nailan Yanran glanced at Nailan Liang and was about to ignore him when she saw him. However, when she saw the person beside him, she was stunned. She said in surprise, "It's you?" "Yes, it's me. Fairy Nailan, long time no see, but you've lost a lot of weight." Nailan Liang was surprised. It seemed that they knew each other. He didn't know. His sister was the most powerful person in the family. When did Lin Xian know her? The people around also exclaimed, "Who was this person who dared to talk to Fairy Nailan in such a tone? Could it be that he was also a top expert of the younger generation?" Nailan Liang walked over with a smile and said, "Sister, so you know each other. I won't introduce you. This is my boss." The experts around were even more surprised. The person in front of them was also a genius of the Nailan family. Although his status wasn't as high as Nalan Yanran's, he couldn't be underestimated. He actually recognized someone else as his boss. Who was this young man? In an instant, countless people came and went. When they sensed that Lin Xian was only a late-stage holy king, they frowned slightly. Such a cultivation level didn't seem to be enough. However, Nalan Yanran was surprised. "You've broken through." She was really too shocked. When she fought with Lin Xian before, Lin Xian was only a middle-stage holy king. Now that he had broken through, his strength must have improved by leaps and bounds. Perhaps he had already surpassed her. Chapter 4832. Nalan Yanran looked at Lin Xian and said, "I didn't expect you to know my useless brother. What a surprise." Then she looked at Nalan Liang. "All right, since you managed to get Lin Gongzi here, I can give you the Bright Moon Cloud map." "Really? That's great." Nalan Liang was excited. Lin Xian's eyes lit up, and he was surprised. It seemed that the difference in status between the two disciples of the Nalan family was huge. Nalan Liang seemed to be afraid in front of him. It seemed that he had to find a way to raise Nalan Liang's status in the family. After all, he and Nalan Liang were brothers. "Lin Gongzi, please take a seat." Nalan Yanran sat down and smiled. She recognized Lin Xian's strength. He was not weaker than her. However, she did not think that he would have a chance to fight this time. After all, the mysterious expert was too terrifying. Ordinary great saints would definitely die if they met him. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he was not a match for him. So this time, he was only here to help. At the same time, she smiled and said, "Lin Gongzi, you made the right choice this time. There will be an old senior coming later. I will introduce him to you." He was a top expert on the Abyss leaderboard. When she said this, a fiery red light appeared in her eyes. She looked up to the person on the leaderboard. The other people's eyes also lit up. Finally, he could see the legendary Almighty Master. Sure enough, a person walked in from outside not long after. Everyone felt that the world had frozen. Their blood was boiling, and their bodies were about to split open. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. This pressure was really too terrifying. Nalan Yanran's eyes lit up. She stood up and walked outside. "Senior Six Paths, you are finally here." When Nalan Yanran saw the figure below, she immediately smiled. With this smile, the pressure between heaven and earth seemed to have disappeared. Countless people looked over with their eyes wide open. Nalan Liang was also shocked. Did the Six Paths really come? A tall old man walked over. He was wearing armor and his aura was terrifying. He was the rogue cultivator of the Six Paths, who was ranked on the Holy Gulf ranking. "Greetings, Senior." The Saint Kings who had been invited all bowed. In fact, there were even two great sages who looked at him respectfully. There was nothing he could do about it. The other party was simply too strong. Nalan Liang felt his entire body turn cold. So did he. He hurriedly bowed. Only Lin Xian didn't seem to have much of a reaction. At this moment, Lin Xian's expression was a bit strange. Was this the vagrant Six Paths? Was this the expert that he had just stepped on? One had to know that the Six Paths loose cultivator was ranked 2000th, but in the end, he was forced to rank 2000th. It was just that they didn't know each other. Who would have thought that they would meet in such a place? Seeing that Lin Xian was sitting there unmoved, the expressions of the people around him changed. Even Nalan Yanran furrowed her brows. This Lin Xian was too reckless. Even though she had to admit that the other party was a top-notch genius who wasn't any weaker than her. However, he shouldn't be so arrogant. Even she was so respectful to the vagrant Six Paths, but he was so arrogant. Was he reckless? Forget it. She wouldn't recommend him this time. Otherwise, it would be bad for her if she angered the vagrant Six Paths Nalan. Liang also said, "Boss Lin, Why don't you hurry up and bow as well? He was afraid that Lin Xian would anger such an expert. Lin Xian didn't care. He picked up the spirit tea on the table, took a sip, and narrowed his eyes. He was waiting for the other party to bow. What a joke! The other party's ranking was lower than his. There was no need for him to bow. However, the others didn't know that. They all thought that Lin Xian was reckless. Even Nalan Liang sighed, but he didn't say anything else. After all, they were only here to help. From now on, they might never see the vagrant six paths again. If he didn't respect him, so be it. The vagrant six paths was like a god, receiving the respect of countless people. When he saw that only Lin Xian was sitting there, unmoved, he frowned slightly. However, he ignored him very quickly. Perhaps an ant didn't know how powerful he was. However, behind him, a young man stood out and looked at Lin Xian coldly. Kid, don't you know how to respect your seniors? This young man was the disciple of the vagrant six paths. He was also very powerful. He was a young top genius. When he saw that Lin Xian didn't respond, he was furious. Was this kid looking down on his master again? Forgive me for being blind, but who is your master? Lin Xian said calmly. He still didn't have any intention of standing up to bow. Feng Han was very angry. He said proudly, "My master is the vagrant six paths." His eyes were filled with pride. That name was enough to shock the world. When Lin Xian heard it, he immediately knelt on the ground. However, he was disappointed. Lin Xian said calmly, "Oh, that's it?" Feng Han was going crazy. Was it over with just an O? Shouldn't he be trembling in fear? And then worshipping him? Damn it. Is this brat an idiot? Could it be that he came from some mountain? He doesn't know his master's name at all. Yes, that must be it. So he's just an ignorant ant. No wonder he's so arrogant. Feng Han snorted. You'll know how powerful my master is later. Nalan Liang was angry. This kid was too arrogant. Lin Xian shook his head. It's fine. He didn't even care about the vagrant six paths, let alone his disciple. Now, he was interested in the mysterious expert. What kind of person could make the Nalan family so miserable? The vagrant six paths sat down and asked calmly, Fairy Nalan, how powerful is the mysterious person you mentioned? Nalan Yenren said that the person was very terrifying. He should be a great sage. However, ordinary great sages wouldn't even be able to dodge 3 of his attacks. Furthermore, when he came to my Nalan clan, he came and went without a trace. This junior had no other choice but to ask senior for help. No matter who he is, I'll just suppress him. The vagrant six paths said calmly. He had unlimited confidence in himself. After all, there were some people who were stronger than him. However, they wouldn't make things difficult for a little girl. The person who made a move on a young girl probably wasn't someone powerful. When the surrounding people heard this, they kept nodding their heads, feeling envious. Look, this was the demeanor of an expert. He looked like he was invincible. This was the realm they wanted to reach in the future. Lin Xian shook his head and sighed. The vagrant six paths underestimated his opponent. He didn't even know who the enemy was. If he was careless, he might be at a disadvantage. Chapter 48:33. Hearing Six Paths' confident words, Nalan Yenren smiled. Nalan Yenren also smiled. She was naturally aware of the other party's strength. She took out a treasure box and opened it. Senior, this is a realm core. Take it. I'll give you another realm core after this is done. We won't go back on our word. Please don't worry about that. From now on, you'll be my benefactor. I'll report this to the family head, and we'll have more opportunities to work together. When he saw the world heart, a smile appeared on his face. He waved his hand and put the world heart away. This time around, he wasn't helping them out of kindness for no reason. Six Paths had promised to give him 2 realm cores after this was done. Now he would be using 2 worlds. That way, he would be able to progress further on the path of martial arts. He even wanted to take revenge. Last time, he was trampled on by a guy called Mad God. This time, he had to fight back. His name had to surpass Mad God's. With these 2 worlds as resources, his cultivation speed would be very fast. It wouldn't take long for him to achieve his goal. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their eyes turned red. That was a world core. They had the resources of a world. The Nayland family was really generous. Even Nayland Leong was envious. 6 Paths had just given him the Returning Clouds painting, but he had given 6 Paths an entire world's worth of resources. Comparisons were odious indeed. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't know that helping out was worth so much. However, he wasn't in a hurry. Perhaps he would have a chance to help out this time. They just had to wait. Nayland Yenran took out the most exquisite delicacies and spirit tea as a treat. Everyone surrounded the 6 Paths vagrant cultivator and treated him with respect. Only Lin Xian and Nayland Leong were exceptions. However, no one paid any attention to them. Instead, they distanced themselves from the two. Halfway through the meal, the Nayland family's guards came to deliver a message. A strange figure appeared. Nayland Yenran put down the teacup, and a cold look appeared in her eyes. She waved her hand, and 6 figures flew out to investigate. However, in the next instant, a miserable shriek was heard. Nayland Yenran's face turned ugly. He felt that the souls of the 6 people had disappeared. In other words, they were killed in an instant. The others also frowned. What a terrifying method. These 6 people were not weak. Humph! Everyone heard a low laugh, followed by footsteps coming from the stairs. A man in a black robe appeared. You want to use such an ant to challenge me? Countless people looked in the direction of the voice. So, that was the mysterious man. Nayland Yenran's face also turned pale. That's right, it was this aura. She would never forget it. This tall figure was like a demon god. He stared at Nayland Yenran and said, "You dare to chase after my junior brother? I'll give you a chance. Kneel down obediently and accept your death. Otherwise, I'll make you wish you were dead." Nayland Yenran's face was pale. She gritted her teeth and said, "I didn't know that he was your junior brother. Besides, I didn't succeed. Your junior brother is safe and sound now. Why don't we resolve our grudges? You can name any conditions. I'll agree to all of them." She didn't want to offend such an expert unless she had no other choice. "You don't know?" The black-robed man sneered. "I can name any conditions. The price is your life. Use your life to apologize to my junior brother." "Impossible!" Nayland Yenran roared. She could name any conditions, but it was impossible for her to die. She said, "Are there no other conditions?" The black-robed man sneered. "Since you don't want to listen, don't blame me for doing it myself." A terrifying demonic aura was emitted from his body. Lin Xian frowned slightly. This person was indeed strong. His demonic aura was so terrifying. Was he from the demon race? Nayland Yenran gritted her teeth. "Since you're so heartless, don't blame me." She turned to the vagrant 6 Paths and said respectfully, "Senior, please suppress him." The vagrant 6 Paths nodded and looked at the other party with a condescending look. The other party was indeed a great sage. But that was it. With the aura that the other party was emitting, he was no match for the vagrant 6 Paths. He looked at the disciple beside him and said, "Feng Han, I'll leave this to you." Feng Han stood out and said, "Don't worry, Master. I don't need you to deal with trash like this. I can deal with him." Feng Han's eyes were filled with confidence. He was a great sage, pinnacle stage genius. Plus, he was from the 6 Paths sect. Naturally, he had the strength to fight those above his level. With his cultivation and the 6 Paths fist, it wasn't a problem for him to fight against a great sage. This time, It was time for him to shine. Seeing a young man walk out, the black-robed man frowned. "And get lost. You're courting death. Take yours truly's power." Feng Han rushed out instantly. He waved his fists, and it was as though there were 6 worlds in them. 6 paths fist. He used his strongest skill right from the start because he wanted to make a name for himself. The surrounding people were shocked. This Feng Han was too terrifying. He didn't seem to be weaker than them. In fact, he might even be stronger. Even the top disciples of the 3 great orthodoxies couldn't be compared to him. Countless people were shocked. However, Lin Xian sighed. This guy really didn't know what was good for him. This black-robed man was obviously a terrifying great sage. If he went up against him, he would definitely die. Seeing this, the black-robed man sneered. With a wave of his hand, a terrifying storm enveloped the area. With a loud clang, the surrounding void shattered. Then, a blood-curdling scream could be heard. Everyone's scalp went numb. They looked ahead in disbelief. They saw the 6 paths fist being grabbed by the opponent. Then, the black storm tore Feng Han's body into pieces. 1 hit, 1 kill. Was he dead? The crowd couldn't believe it. That was a top genius of the 6 paths sect. He used the 6 paths fist, and his physique was extremely terrifying. But even so, he couldn't even block a single hit. These people were scared out of their wits. The 6 paths sect's pupils shrank. "Damn it, how dare you!" He struck out with his palm. The terrifying palm covered the sky, trying to save his disciple. However, it was useless. Feng Han's soul had long been destroyed. He only managed to catch a cloud of blood mist. "Damn it, no matter who you are, I'll send you to hell today." The 6 paths sect's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had searched for this disciple for hundreds of years before he found a genius. He had also spent hundreds of years to nurture him. Now his disciple had reached the peak of the great sage king realm, and his 6 paths fist had reached the small success stage. He was very satisfied. But now his disciple had fallen. He couldn't accept it. At the same time, he was shocked. The person in front of him was more terrifying than he had imagined. However, he didn't care about him at all. Chapter 48:34. The 6 paths was enraged. He took a step forward, and his power exploded. The surrounding heavens and earth crumbled, and the entire 5th level shook violently. Countless people retreated in fear. A great sage's anger would dye the 9 heavens red. The 6 paths' eyes were filled with killing intent as he looked at his opponent. "This place is too small for me to fight. Come out with me. I'll make you regret it." The black-robed man sneered. "There's no need to go out. This place is enough because it won't be too troublesome to kill you." Arrogant. The 6 paths was enraged. He no longer hesitated and attacked with his palm. It was like the palm of a heavenly god, filled with shocking killing intent that shattered the void in front of it. Even a great sage would be reduced to a bloody mist in the blink of an eye. The black-robed man sneered and waved his hand. A terrifying black storm rushed out. The 2 collided. It was as if 1,000 volcanoes had erupted. Fortunately, the Tower of White Cranes was made from the body of a great sage. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed by this attack. After the first attack, it seemed that they were evenly matched. The surrounding people had retreated far away. They were terrified. Is this the power of a great sage? Although they could fight above their level, they were powerless against such a great sage. Malin Yenran was extremely nervous. She clenched her fists. Her life was all on the 6 paths. Naturally, she would watch the battle nervously. On the other side, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Although it was only the first attack, he could already tell. He sighed. This person seemed to be more terrifying than he had imagined. "You're just Ezal. The six paths snorted when he saw his palm being blocked. The mysterious expert opposite him was shocked. Six paths fist? So he's from the six paths sect. However, you're too reckless. I'll kill you even if you're from the six paths sect. As he spoke, his eyes shone with a terrifying light. His aura became even more terrifying. He clapped his hands. His 5 fingers seemed to have turned into 5 demonic swords. They were filled with power. Then he slapped down mercilessly. Boom! With a palm strike, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. His 5 fingers drew a black dragon that danced between heaven and earth. At this moment, everyone felt their scalps go numb. They were so scared that they almost fainted. How many times had his strength increased compared to before? Six Paths' pupils shrank as well. He knew that his opponent was stronger than he had expected. He couldn't afford to be careless anymore. Six Dao Fist. His hands danced nonstop as he threw out a punch. 6 phantoms appeared and charged forward with his fist. Boom. Today's earth-shaking collision was like 2 worlds clashing, as if 10,000 bolts of lightning were descending. Wung. At this time, the black-robed man's other hand slashed down like a black crescent moon, shaking the mountains and rivers. 6 Paths unleashed his 6 Paths fist with all his might to fight against the palm. He didn't expect his opponent to have another killer move. This attack landed directly on his body. His arm was broken, and he was sent flying. He roared and screamed miserably. His arm instantly recovered, and he attacked again. However, the other party's hands danced. Light of the demon god. Between his palms, there was an extremely terrifying black light being emitted. Heaven and earth trembled, and everyone was terrified. It was as if a demonic world had been opened. This was a peerless divine ability. Even Lin Xian was shocked. He took Nail and Liang and kept retreating. In front of them, the sky and earth were collapsing. When the terrifying light disappeared, 6 Paths' body was shaking and his face was pale. Both of his arms were completely broken and hung limply by his side. There were hundreds of bloody holes on his body, and blood was flowing out. His face was full of horror. You actually broke my 6 Paths fist. Who are you? He was too shocked. When did such a demonic expert come to Holy Abyss City? Remember, my name is Mo Guang. As soon as he finished speaking, an extremely powerful light of the demon god rushed over. 6 Paths resisted with all his might, but he was still sent flying. He landed in the distance and vomited blood. It seemed that he was seriously injured. No, impossible. Nalan Yenran was stunned. That was the 6 Paths. He was ranked 2001 on the Glory leaderboard. How terrifying was that? But now, in less than 100 moves, he was severely injured by the other party. The person in front of him was too terrifying. What kind of person did he provoke? Senior, please attack. I know you still have a trump card. Nalan Yenran roared quickly. However, the 6 Paths' expression was extremely ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, I won't interfere in this matter anymore. I won't take the rest of your reward. After saying that, he closed his eyes and ignored her. How could this be? Nalan Yenran was completely stunned. In her eyes, the 6 Paths was her biggest backer. In her opinion, he could definitely sweep away everything. But now, the 6 Paths said that he would not care about her. What should she do? She would probably end up in a miserable state. She looked at the people around her and said, Hurry up and attack. I'll give whoever kills him a world. However, the people around her retreated in fear. The black-robed man in front of them sneered. He waved his hand, and a black storm flew out, turning into dozens of black dragons that tore those people to pieces. For a moment, all sorts of screams and blood rain could be heard. Everyone was dead, other than Nalan Yenran and the 6 Paths. Only Lin Xian and Nalan Liang were left. Nalan Liang was completely stunned. This was too terrifying. Could it be that he was going to fall here today? Nalan Yanran was so scared that she fell to the ground, her face full of fear. The black-robed man walked in front of her and looked down at her. Nalan Yanran raised her head and said, "I'll give you a world as compensation. Please spare my life." "A world?" the black-robed man sneered. "If you give me the Nalan family, I'll consider sparing your life." Nalan Yanran was in despair. What a joke. She was not the leader. How could she give the family to someone else? Even if she was the leader, she could not do it. Nalan Yanran knelt down. Although she was a genius, she did not want to die. Even the 6 paths in front of her was not a match for the black-robed man. The black-robed man could kill her with just a finger. Hence, she did not dare to resist. She said, "Senior, I was wrong. I shouldn't have attacked your junior brother. I beg to be your junior brother's battle servant, as long as you spare my life. Also, you won't get any benefits from killing me. You won't get any resources. Also, I'm the strongest person in the Nalan family. If I die, the family will definitely take revenge for me. My Nalan family also has top experts and terrifying great saints. When they attack together, Senior will be in danger." The black-robed man laughed. "Are you threatening me? No matter how strong the Nalan family is, it's only in Holy Abyss, ancient city. If I kill you and leave the ancient city, what can your Nalan family do to me?" Chapter 48:35. Nalan Yanran was in despair. It didn't matter if she begged or threatened the other party. The other party didn't seem to be afraid of anything. This kind of person was the most terrifying. Nalan Liang's scalp went numb. Was this the #1 genius of their family? But now she was begging for mercy like an ant. How ironic! But if it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to raise their head. What he was most worried about was whether the other party would make a move on them after killing Nalan Yanran. If the other party made a move, none of them would be able to resist. Nalan Yanran wanted to die. Her face was filled with despair as she kept kowtowing. However, at this moment, a voice sounded. "Fairy Nalan, give me 2 world cores, and I can save your life." Hearing this, Nalan Yanran's body trembled. Hope returned to her eyes. It was the 6 paths rogue. Was he going to make a move again? Although the other party had been defeated, he definitely had a powerful trump card. If he took out a terrifying sacred weapon or used the 6 paths gate's secret technique, she might be able to escape. But when she turned around, she realized that it wasn't the 6 paths rogue, but Lin Xian. The light in her eyes disappeared as she fell into despair again. Although Lin Xian was strong, he was the same as her. If they met, wouldn't they have to kneel and beg for mercy? Nalan Liang, who was standing at the side, was stunned as well. He was still thinking about how to escape, but he did not expect Lin Xian to directly ask to save his ancestral sister. But could Lin Xian do it? Although Nalan Liang knew that Lin Xian was strong, the black-robed man in front of him was too terrifying. Even the 6 paths rogue was no match for him. As expected, the 6 paths rogue opened his eyes and stared at Lin Xian as if he was looking at an idiot. Even he couldn't defeat the other party, let alone a young man. It seemed that the other party was tired of living. Lin Xian picked up the herbal tea on the table and took a sip. Then he looked at the stunned Nalan Yanran. He faintly said again, "What's wrong, Fairy Nalan? Don't tell me you don't understand. Give me 2 worlds, and I will save your life. You only have 1 chance, so consider it carefully." The black-robed man was thoroughly enraged. A young ant actually dared to say such words? Was he looking down on him? What an ignorant fool. An extremely terrifying killing intent erupted from his eyes, enveloping the surrounding void in front of him. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. However, Lin Xian was safe and sound. The black-robed man was stunned. He was surprised that Yi Fuqian had some strength. No wonder Yi Fuqian dared to be so arrogant. But so what? It was just blocking his gaze. Could the other party block his true strength? Naylan Yenran was also stunned. To be honest, a bit of hope had been restored in her eyes. However, her instincts told her that Lin Xian was no match for him. If she were to agree to Lin Xian's request now, she would be completely angering the black-robed man. She would have no chance of survival at all. The black-robed man sneered. "Brat, I originally thought that after killing Naylan Yenran, I would slowly deal with you guys. If I was in a good mood, I could even let you guys go. However, you actually dared to jump out recklessly. Well then, no one here can think about walking out alive today." Naylan Yenran almost fainted when she heard this. Even the Six Paths' pupils constricted. Damn it, he was going to be killed by this brat. Naylan Liang said, "Boss Lin, should we hurry up and run?" Lin Xian put down the spirit tea and stood up with a smile. "None of you want to live? Aren't you a bit too arrogant? You think you can't kill me? If you cultivate for a few thousand years, you might be able to, but not now." The black-robed man's face completely darkened. Demonic chi filled the sky from his body, and demonic flames danced in his eyes. "Brat, you have completely angered me. I will make you suffer. I will let you experience what it means to live a life worse than death." He reached out a demonic hand and grabbed at Lin Xian. Everywhere it passed, nothing could stop it. Lin Xian stood there without moving. His eyes were filled with confidence. When the black hand reached him, he stretched out his fist. When he punched out, it was as if a golden sun had appeared, shining in all directions. Boom! With one punch, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Lightning filled the surroundings. The large black hand was blocked and even forced back. How was this possible? Naylan Yenran's pupils constricted. She couldn't believe that this young man was as strong as her. What kind of joke was this? The Six Paths' expression changed. What a powerful strength, what a terrifying physique. Could this young man possess the legendary body of the ancients? Naylan Liang was even more dumbfounded. It seemed that Boss Lin's strength was beyond her imagination. Everyone knew that they had underestimated Lin Xian. Naylan Yenran quickly said, "Lin Gongzi, save my life, and I will give you 3 worlds." She saw hope. Lin Xian was her savior. She had to grab hold of him. Lin Xian's lips curled up. "Very well, I'll save your life. You're courting death." The black-robed man stood out. He was completely enraged. "If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." He slammed his hand down again. Terrifying demonic chi bloomed from his 5 fingers, turning into 5 demonic dragons that swept across the sky. He wanted to kill Lin Xian. However, there were illusions of 9 suns revolving around Lin Xian's body. His fist was even more terrifying than the ancient golden crow. With one punch, he shattered everything. Boom! The 5 demonic dragons were shattered. The black hand was torn into pieces. The black-robed man retracted his hand. His pale face became ferocious. How was this possible? He didn't hold back this time, but he was still no match for Lin Xian. It was unbelievable. The 6 Paths beside him was even crazier. He had fought with Lin Xian before and knew how strong he was. The young man in front of him was stronger than him? What kind of divine being was this? After Lin Xian's punch succeeded, he attacked again. His fist fell like thousands of meteors, forcing the black-robed man to retreat. The black-robed man roared. "Demon!" He roared. An endless demonic chi appeared on his body. Light of the demon god. Thousands of rays of black light turned into sharp black swords that pierced through the sky. Naylan Yenran was extremely nervous. This was Lin Xian's ultimate technique. It was the same technique that defeated the 6 Paths. The 6 Paths' expression also became serious. Could the kid in front of him block the attack? Lin Xian snorted. He used the divine dragon blood, and the illusion of a dragon appeared behind him. Sword. Lin Xian pointed at the sky. The sword dragon behind him roared. The scales on its body flew out and turned into a divine sword that fell into Lin Xian's hand. One sword to slay the demon. This sword was like the light of the North Pole, becoming the only thing in the world. Everyone's soul trembled. After the sword, the light of the demon god shattered. One of the black-robed man's arms was cut off, and half of his body turned into a bloody mist. Lin Xian held his sword and smiled. I told you that you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. Do you believe me now? Chapter 48:36. A cold voice sounded out, shocking countless people. Nalan Yanran was incomparably terrified. She had always thought that Lin Xian's strength was similar to hers, but how could it be like this? This person had completely surpassed her, reaching an unfathomable level. The black-robed demon shine clenched his teeth and asked, "Just who are you?" "My name is Lin Xian, a disciple of the True Tao sect." Lin Xian, True Tao sect. Good boy, I'll remember you. Demon Shine coldly snorted and then looked at Nalan Yanran. You're lucky today to be able to keep your life, but in the future, I'll send you to hell. After he finished speaking, he turned to leave. Nalan Yanran let out a sigh of relief. This was great. Her life was saved today. Afterwards, she didn't want to leave her family for the next 100 years. However, Lin Xian coldly snorted. Stop right there. Did I say you could leave? Demon Shine was stunned. He turned his head, his eyes erupting with a biting, cold, killing intent. Boy, what do you want? Lin Xian smiled. Before, you were high and mighty. If you wanted to kill me, you would kill me. But now that you can't beat me, you want to leave with just a few words? There's no such thing in this world. Do you want to kill me? Demon Shine was also angry. Leaving today was already giving this person a lot of face. Lin Xian smiled. That's right. He stepped forwards, his aura erupting as an even more terrifying strength appeared. Since he had already attacked, how could he easily hold back? Saving Nalan Yanran wasn't enough. He wanted to thoroughly subdue the Nalan family. Stupid thing. Do you really think I don't have any more cards in my hand? Demon Shine's face was ice cold. He clenched his teeth and said, Good. I originally didn't want to use some taboo martial arts, but since you want to die, I'll help you. His palms constantly formed seals as terrifying demonic runes appeared on his body. An incomparably terrifying aura appeared. Summon the demon lord. Behind him, endless demonic energy condensed into a vortex. From within, a dark shadow appeared, bobbing up and down. This dark shadow was tall, like a demon god. He stood there, overlooking all. In his hand was a black spear. It was also an illusion, but it exuded a destructive aura. This was bad. Nalan Yanran, frightened. Nalan Liang also retreated far away, and Six Paths' pupils shrank. Stupid thing. He cursed under his breath. The demonic shadow he had summoned was enough to threaten his life. With a sway of his body, he tore the void apart and flew into the distance. There was no need to watch the battle in front of them. That brat was strong, but he definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this sure-kill attack. He would definitely die if he stayed here, so it was better for him to escape in advance. The Six Paths cultivator quickly left. Looking at the fleeing figure, Lin Xian's eyes glowed with a golden light. The seal of reincarnation struck the opponent. The whole process was so quiet that even Six Paths didn't notice. Then Lin Xian turned to stare at Demon Shine. To be more exact, he was staring at the black shadow demon behind Demon Shine. It's just an illusion. It's not the real demon god. Is this your trump card? Lin Xian was disdainful. You're courting death. You dare to underestimate Lord Devil Master? Stupid thing. Lord Devil Master is the Lord of the Devil Realm. He commands 10,000 demons. And in his hands is the highest divine artifact of the Devil Realm, the Shattering Spear. You don't understand anything, yet you dare to underestimate Lord Devil Master? Die. With a single step, the heavens fell, and the earth cracked, the surrounding void, constantly shattered. The phantom behind him also walked out, the black shadow in its hand swaying. The surrounding heavens fell, and the earth cracked. A destructive aura appeared. Nalan Yenran and Nalan Yenran were so frightened that they nearly fainted. However, Lin Xian wasn't afraid at all. In fact, he had a strange expression. Shattering? Could it be the Shattering Spear? You actually know about it. Then you should have heard of it. In the legends, the Shattering Spear could destroy the heavens and earth with a single strike. Although it was only an illusion, it still possessed a supreme might. Obediently kneel down and accept your death. Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't think that this phantom would be related to the Shattering Spear. Could it be that the Demon Master was also from the Great Demon Clan? But soon he laughed. Stupid ant, if you took out something else, you might have been able to scare me. But Shattering Spear, you are too ridiculous. Let me tell you what true Shattering Spear is. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a cold light. With a flick of his hand, a black light flew out from his storage ring and was caught by him. Wung, that was a black spear. Lin Xian thrust it into the skies, causing the surrounding heavens and earth to crack. What was that? Nalan Yenran was shocked. That spear also had a terrifying destructive aura. Across from him, Demon Shine's pupils shrank. He roared out, "Impossible!" He seemed to have discovered the most terrifying thing of all. The weapon in Lin Xian's hand was far too similar to the phantom he had summoned. Even the aura was the same. Lin Xian was holding the Shattering Spear, but that was a divine tool of the demon world. How could Lin Xian have it? Just who are you? Are you also from the demon race? Lin Xian smiled. He said, I don't need to explain to a dead man. The Shattering Spear danced, rushing forwards. This strike was enough to destroy everything. Damn it! Demon Shine was enraged. Kill. Although he didn't know how Lin Xian had obtained the Shattering Spear, he had to bring it back. He had to kill Lin Xian, take it, and offer it to the Demon Lord. As the two sides clashed, the heavens fell, and the earth cracked. It had to be said that Demon Shine was extremely strong, far above scattered six paths. Moreover, Lin Xian had burned his laws and bloodline to display his ultimate skill. It was even more terrifying. However, Lin Xian's Shattering Spear was already terrifying to begin with. In addition, he galvanized the Great Dragon Sword Soul with all his strength. The Great Dragon Sword's strength poured into the Shattering Spear, causing the demon tool to come to life. It turned into a shattering dragon, dancing between the heavens and earth. Bang, bang! The phantom that Demon Shine had summoned instantly shattered. As for Demon Shine, he spat out a mouthful of blood. His body was torn apart. Damn it! His soul wanted to flee. He had to flee back and report this matter to the Demon Lord. Stay! Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a terrifying light. Samsara, heavenly steel. A terrifying eye technique erupted, forming two heavenly steels that directly suppressed Demon Shine. No, Demon Shine's soul had been severely wounded. This was the power of Samsara. Spare my life. My master is the Demon Lord. If you kill me, he won't let you go. Demon Shine was too terrified against an ordinary great sage soul. Even if Lin Xian used an extremely powerful eye technique, he still wouldn't be afraid. But with the power of Samsara, he really couldn't block it. Lin Xian didn't stop. With a cold snort, the two Samsara heavenly steels shattered Demon Shine's soul. Lin Xian stretched out his hand and grabbed onto a soul fragment. His eyes flashed as he read the information within. Then he crushed the soul fragment. With this, Demon Shine's soul vanished into thin air. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian took Demon Shine's storage ring. Then he looked at Nalan Yanran in the corner. He smiled and said, "All right, the danger is over. You can live." Chapter 48:37. Hearing Lin Xian's words, Nalan Yanran's body shook. Was it over? She couldn't believe it. Looking at Demon Shine in front of her and the bloody mist, her face turned pale. Before coming, she had thought of countless possibilities. She even thought that 6 paths wouldn't be able to defeat Lin Xian and would escape with her. However, she never thought that Demon Shine would be killed by Lin Xian. And 6 paths had escaped ahead of time. It could only be said that this world was too mysterious. Nalan Yanran stood up and said, "Thank you, Lin Gongzi, for saving my life." She looked at Lin Xian with a trace of fear in her eyes. After all, he was a supreme existence that could kill Demon Shine. Lin Xian smiled. He nodded and said, "What about the matter you promised me before?" Nalan Yanran was stunned. Then she remembered that in order to save her life, she had promised to give him 3 world cores. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath and said, "Since I promised you, I naturally won't go back on my word. I'll go back to my family and gather them. Sir, please give me some time." Lin Xian nodded. He wasn't afraid that she would run away. After all, she was from the Nalan family. Lin Xian smiled and said, "I'll send Fairy Nalan back." Then he waved his hand and sent a surge of energy into Nalan Liang. Nalan Liang was so scared that he couldn't stand up. Now that he was enveloped by Lin Xian's energy, he recovered his strength. He said, "Boss Lin, you were too cool just now. You were like a god." He knew that following Lin Xian was the right choice. From now on, he would follow him for the rest of his life. Nalan Yanran was also shocked. She didn't think that Nalan Liang would find such a backer. She quickly took out a scroll from her storage ring and said, "Take it. This is the moon returning to the cloud painting. Take it. If you need anything in the future, just tell me. As your sister, I'll definitely agree." "Good. Then I won't be polite." Nalan Liang directly took it. He had wanted the scroll for a long time. Of course, he also knew that this was all because of Lin Xian, which was why the other party was so polite to him. Next, Lin Xian sent Nalan Yanran back to the Nalan family. At the same time, he asked Nalan Liang to stay. As for the explanation, let the other party handle it. On the other hand, Lin Xian's figure flashed and flew into the distance. Many people of the Nalan family were waiting nervously. They didn't know how Nalan Yanran was doing. Nalan Yanran's father said, "With the help of the 6 Tao cultivators, there would be no problem." An old man nodded in agreement. "That's for sure. This time, we've paid a huge price to give them 2 realm cores." Just like that, after a long and anxious wait, they finally saw a figure walking back. "Yanran, you're back?" The middle-aged man walked up happily. "Where is the vagabond 6 paths?" The old man said, "I want to thank him personally." In their opinion, the only reason Nalan Yanran was able to come back alive was because of the 6 paths vagabond. Father, grandfather. Nalan Yanran was also crying. Her eyes were red. However, when she heard the middle-aged man's words, she said, "It's not the vagabond 6 paths. That guy was defeated and ran away halfway." What? The 2 people in front of her were stunned. It's not the vagabond 6 paths? Why did Nalan Yanran come back? Could it be that she had reconciled with the enemy? No, Nalan Yanran told him what had happened before. Then her grandfather and father were shocked. "You're saying that a young man killed Demon Shine? That's impossible." The middle-aged man also shook his head. Even the vagabond 6 paths was defeated. How could a young man withstand it? Nalan Yanran said, "I saw it with my own eyes. Moreover, he's a disciple of the Tao sect." How do you know such a young expert? The old man asked. Nalan Yanran said, I didn't invite him, but Nalan Liang. Nalan Liang has already recognized Lin Xian as his boss. He wants the cloud returning painting in my hands. So he invited him. It's actually Nalan Liang. The middle-aged man was shocked, but the old man's brows were tightly knitted together. This didn't seem good. Nalan Liang was also a member of the Nalan family, but his status in the family was far worse than Yanran's. But now, Nalan Liang had found such a powerful backer. The situation in the future was uncertain. He frowned and said, Yanran, go find Nalan Liang. We have to thank him properly. Yanran left. The old man's face sank. It seemed that the family situation was about to change. They had to be careful of this Nalan Liang. At the same time, do your best to find out who this Lin Xian is. Father, are you saying that Nalan Liang will threaten Yanran's status? How is that possible? The difference in talent between the two was too great. The old man shook his head. We weren't worried before, but with this Lin Xian, anything is possible. Don't worry, when he comes over, we'll find out who this Lin Xian is. They made up their minds and began to move. On the other side, Lin Xian was flying at high speed. Previously, when the vagabond Six Paths escaped, he left a soul mark on him. Now, he was going to find him. In the east of Holy Abyss Ancient City, there was a cliff. It was very steep, as if it had been split open by a heavenly sword. On the cliff, the wind was strong. No one below a supreme saint dared to come. At this moment, there was a figure sitting cross-legged there. Endless light flickered on his body. There were 6 light figures around him, as if they were connected to 6 worlds. He was the vagabond Six Paths. His palms were constantly forming seals, and there were pills and treasures beside him. Not long after, he opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it, the demonic aura was too terrifying. Previously, when he was pierced by the light of the demon god, the demonic aura was left in his body. At this moment, he was removing it bit by bit. This time, he was really careless. He didn't expect to meet such a terrifying demonic expert, but fortunately, he was able to escape. Thinking about it, that little girl from the Nalan family wouldn't be able to escape at all. Even that Lin Xian would die without a doubt. Thinking of this, he sneered. Fortunately, he was smart and ran fast. At this time, a faint voice sounded behind him. What are you so happy about? Tell me. The vagabond Six Paths felt his hair stand on end. Who was it? He suddenly turned around, as if he was facing a great enemy. He thought that Demonshine had come to kill him, but soon he realized that it wasn't him. A man in a black robe walked out from behind him. It's you? He was shocked. You're Lin Xian? You didn't die? Could it be that Demonshine spared you? Spared me? Lin Xian laughed. You really don't have any imagination. Can't you imagine that he has already been killed by me? Demonshine was dead. Or was he killed by the other party? The vagabond Six Paths was stunned. Then he shook his head. Impossible. Kid, don't try to lie to me. He knew how terrifying Demonshine was. How could he die? Chapter 48:38. What an ignorant ant. Lin Xian shook his head and sneered. You think that just because you can't beat me, no one in this world can't beat me? Boy, I admit that I am not invincible in this world, and there are many people stronger than me. But you are absolutely not one of them. The reason you were able to contend with Demonshine before was because you swallowed some sort of secret pill in advance to forcefully increase your strength. This sort of pill is extremely harmful and will damage a martial artist's foundation. You're dead. Do you think that you can fool me with this kind of insignificant trick of yours? Lin Xian was left speechless. This fellow was far too arrogant. Forget it, he was too lazy to explain. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Think what you want, but I came to find you for an important matter. What is it? Do you want to join forces with me to contend with Demon Shine again? The way he saw it, Lin Xian must have escaped and wanted to invite him back. Lin Xian sneered. You really are an idiot. I came to find you to tell you that I want to borrow your 6-path fists. What did you say? Scattered 6 Paths was thoroughly shocked. This fellow wanted to borrow his 6-path fists? What a joke. This was his ultimate skill, and it was also the 6-path gate's ultimate skill. He would never pass it on to outsiders. This fellow wanted to see it? I'm not crazy, am I? But soon his mind stirred. Could it be that this fellow wanted to take him as his master? Young people all had their pride as geniuses. This fellow must have been too embarrassed to directly say it, so he changed his words. Thinking of this, his heart burned with passion. It had to be known that a genius he had raised had already perished, leaving him with deep regret. If he could take this person as his disciple, that would also be an extremely good thing. He could even use this chance to explore the secrets of this fellow's body. After all, to be able to jump ranks and contend with Demon Shine, there had to be some sort of fortuitous encounter on his body. When the time came, he could hide and become even stronger. Boy, do you want to learn the 6-path fists? Sure, kneel down and take me as your master, and I'll teach you the 6-path fists. Lin Xian smiled. This fellow must have hurt his head in that battle. Take him as a master? I think you've misunderstood. I'm not here to take you as my master. I'm here to order you to hand over the 6 Paths fist. This 6 Paths loose cultivator was from the 6 Paths gate. Lin Xian had been hunted down by the 6 Paths gate, and there was a chance that he would continue to be hunted down in the future. After all, he had obtained the power of reincarnation. Both sides would become enemies sooner or later. Therefore, Lin Xian would not hold back against the people of the 6 Dao school. The 6 Paths vagabond was furious as well. Not only did he not want to become Yi Fuqian's disciple, he even wanted to force his way in. What a joke! Do you think that just because I'm injured, you can behave atrociously over my head? Even if you were given another 5,000 years, you wouldn't be qualified. Stupid thing. Since you don't want it, I'll take it myself. Lin Xian's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Then the giant hand reached out. The golden palm descended like the sun, bringing with it terrifying flames. The scattered cultivator of 6 Paths dodged the attack. His face was gloomy as he thought, if you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. I'll show you what the true 6 Paths fist is. He roared and punched out. The power of the 6 Paths fist seemed to be able to engulf reincarnation. It had to be said that the scattered cultivator of 6 Paths was really strong. This was a peerless fist technique. Lin Xian was not afraid. He used the skywalk step, constantly swaying. What a peerless fist technique. It's a pity that it's like this. Damn brat. The scattered cultivator of 6 Paths clenched his teeth. His opponent's movement technique was too strange. He clenched his teeth and said, "Why don't you dare to fight me head-on? Take my ultimate skill, 6 Paths of reincarnation." His fist carried the phantoms of 6 worlds, which immediately shrouded Lin Xian. Go to hell, brat. He hadn't used this attack when he faced Demon Shine. In his opinion, he just didn't want to risk his life against Demon Shine. Otherwise, even if he used the 6 Paths of reincarnation, it would be difficult to resist. This brat in front of him was even more impossible to resist. The earth cracked as the 6 phantoms swallowed everything. The scattered cultivator of 6 Paths laughed complacently. Is this your 6 Paths of reincarnation? It's only SOO. A calm voice came from the front again. What? The scattered cultivator of 6 Paths pupils shrank. You're not dead? How is this possible? Is he not afraid of reincarnation? His eyes widened. A light cut through the void. He saw Lin Xian standing in the middle of the 6 phantoms. opening up an independent space. The scattered cultivator of six paths power couldn't even get close to him. A golden light appeared in Lin Xian's eyes, and an extremely terrifying phantom appeared. Let me show you what the true power of reincarnation is. Reincarnation steel. The eye technique in Lin Xian's eyes completely erupted. The power of reincarnation swept out, directly tearing apart the six phantoms. They turned into two steels that pressed forward. In an instant, the scattered cultivator of six paths soul was severely injured. He spat out blood, his face full of horror. The power of reincarnation. Damn it, how can you have this power? He was crazy. This was something that only the Six Paths Gate had. No, he was shocked. Lin Xian used his eyes to release the power of reincarnation. Does he have the Rinnegan? Thinking of this possibility, his scalp went numb. Now he finally understood why Lin Xian attacked him. The Six Paths Gate was known as the Six Paths Body. As for the Rinnegan that was related to the soul, it was a different branch. After all, Kuan Grand Sage and Qian Dashing had different developments in the past, and they were mortal enemies. Both wanted to take the others. Now he was a member of the Six Paths Gate, and Lin Xian had a terrifying eye technique and the power of reincarnation. Clearly, he was a descendant of Qian Grand Sage. Damn it, the Rinnegan has appeared. He had to quickly inform the sect to pursue Lin Xian. Thinking of this, he turned around and fled. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? Lin Xian stood on the cliff and looked into the distance. Extremely terrifying flames burst out from his eyes. He formed a hand seal and activated his heavenly secret technique, the fire of reincarnation. Buzz, the terrifying soul fire floated out and instantly enveloped the other party. The next moment, the scattered cultivator of six paths screamed in the air. His body was twisted. His body was not injured, but his soul was severely injured. Damn it, the six paths of reincarnation. Lin Xian used the power of reincarnation. He could only use the power of reincarnation to block it. Although his soul was not as strange as Lin Xian's, he had cultivated the Six Paths Fist. His fist technique could be used to create six worlds. It turned into the six paths of reincarnation to save his life. As expected, the power of the six paths of reincarnation blocked Lin Xian's soul fire. The scattered cultivator of six paths' face was pale, and his expression was ferocious. Brat, you almost killed me. I didn't expect you to have cultivated the power of reincarnation to such a level. Unfortunately, you're too young. If I give you a few hundred years, I won't be able to escape. But now, you can't stop me. Chapter 48:39. Can't stop you? Lin Xian laughed. You're too naive. Do you think I only have the Rinnegan as a trump card? Six Paths' pupils shrank. Could it be that Lin Xian had an even more powerful trump card? He did not believe it. You're deliberately mystifying me. Lin Xian said that you weren't my match even before I broke through, let alone now. Back then, Six Paths was stunned. Did he know Lin Xian before? Right, you still don't know who I am. My name is Lin Xian, and I have another title, the Mad God. What? You're the Mad God? The Six Tao cultivator exclaimed in disbelief. How could he not know this name? Back then, he had been suppressed by the Mad God. He had thought of countless possibilities. The Mad God should be a powerhouse of the older generation, but he had never expected him to be a young man. Damn it, I don't believe it. Six Paths roared and flew into the sky. He wanted to escape. Lin Xian was too terrifying. You want to escape? Lin Xian waved his hand, and the heaven-devouring jar flew out. A terrifying black vortex swept down from the sky. Scram! Six Paths roared and punched out, trying to break the vortex. However, he found that he could not do it. What is this? He was shocked. Lin Xian had a trump card, and it was extremely powerful. Could it be that Lin Xian was really the mad god? Thinking of this possibility, he despaired. This was his nightmare. He felt that his entire body was about to be swallowed by the black jar. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. Before he broke through, the mad god was already no match for him. Now that he had broken through, how could the mad god be a match for him? Devour. With a roar, the heaven-devouring jar's power erupted, and the sky darkened. With a whoosh, 6 paths was swallowed. Lin Xian waved his hand and recalled the heaven-devouring jar. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. His figure flickered, and he returned to the path sect and the divine abode. He went into seclusion. This time, he had killed 2 powerful great sages in a row, so he had gained a lot. With a wave of his hand, he first took out Demon Shine's storage ring. There were many magic crystals and magic stones, all of which were used to cultivate the Devil Dao. Then, Lin Xian's eyes shone with understanding. When he had destroyed the other party's soul, he had investigated it once. It was all for the sake of collecting the light of the demonic gods, the cultivation method of this divine ability. When he saw the light of the demon god, he was also greatly surprised. It was a very powerful divine ability that Lin Xian could cultivate. Logically speaking, the further one progressed, the harder it would be to cultivate. Many powerful saint kings and even great saints would cultivate a small number of specific nomological laws, because his energy was limited. However, Lin Xian didn't care at all. He had the great dragon sword spirit, so he didn't need to worry about energy. He frowned slightly. He did not know who this demon master was. Originally, he thought that it should be a mythical figure, a symbol like a totem. But later, he found out that it wasn't the case. Before he died, he said that he was the Devil Lord's disciple. Then, was this demon lord still alive? Moreover, he was probably an extremely terrifying existence even among great saints. Could it be that he had reached the peak of great saint? Or was the demon lord just a title that was inherited by the strongest demonic cultivator in history? He didn't know any of this. He couldn't be bothered to care. After tidying up the light of the demon god, Lin Xian took out the heaven-devouring jar again and checked inside. The scattered 6 paths body had long been devoured. Only his soul was left, and it was weak. If Lin Xian hadn't intentionally left his soul intact, he would have died long ago. The heaven-devouring jar was half an extreme weapon. Its power was definitely not something a great saint could imagine. Seeing Lin Xian enter, the scattered 6 paths soul quickly said, "Assistant, please don't kill me. I'm willing to hand over the 6 paths fist." "Very good." Lin Xian nodded. The scattered 6 paths heaved a sigh of relief. However, in the next moment, his soul roared crazily. "You dare to attack me?" Lin Xian's expression was cold, and an extremely terrifying reincarnation vortex appeared in his eyes. "I can let you live, but from now on, you will only be my slave. You will always respect me." He activated an extremely powerful reincarnation power and placed the seal of life and death. The scattered 6 paths soul became extremely weak. The way he looked at Lin Xian changed. He became extremely respectful, because now Lin Xian could take his life with a single glance. His soul knelt down on one knee in greeting. Lin Xian waved his hand and released the scattered 6 paths soul. Then he said, "Recover. Go and recover on your own. If anything happens, I'll inform you." Yes, the scattered 6 paths soul was extremely respectful. He turned into a stream of light and disappeared. Lin Xian didn't kill him because he still had a use for him. Keeping him alive would make him his slave in the future. There were many things that he could let him do. It was equivalent to having a powerful battle servant. Then, his lips curled into a smile. The Six Paths fist was in his hands. He had wanted this fist technique for a long time. The power of the Six Paths fist was extremely terrifying. The scattered Six Paths had been famous for many years because of this peerless fist technique. Lin Xian believed that this fist technique would become even more terrifying in his hands. This was because his physique was far from what the scattered Six Paths could compare to. Moreover, the reincarnation power that he possessed was not something that the other party could imagine. Next, Lin Xian went into seclusion and began to enter the sword world to cultivate these two techniques. 4 Spirit Valley. The 4 spirit beasts were surprised to see that Lin Xian had cultivated 2 powerful divine abilities. How could this kid cultivate all kinds of laws and divine abilities? Could he cultivate all of them? A few of them were doubtful. However, not long after, they were astonished. They discovered that Lin Xian had actually practiced the 2 different ultimate skills to such an extent that they looked like they were real. Could it be that this guy was also an expert of the demonic path? On this day, Lin Xian stopped. He felt that he could no longer improve by cultivating in seclusion. He had to find someone to practice with. But who could he find? With his current strength, it was not easy to find an opponent who was on par with him and was not life-threatening. But soon he smiled. The Sacred Abyss Tower. That place was very suitable. Lin Xian immediately set off for the Sacred Abyss Tower. Previously, he had already reached the 40th level, but he did not continue to break through to the 50th level. Instead, he started cultivating from the 1st level. This time, it was not to increase his ranking, but to cultivate the light of the demon god and the Six Paths fist. The Sacred Abyss Tower only recorded the highest ranking, so Lin Xian's cultivation would not affect his ranking. Just like that, he did not rest for a moment in the next few months. He did not know how many battles he had experienced. He was even covered in scars. However, Lin Xian did not use any other techniques. He used the Six Paths fist and the light of the demon god to block. The light of the demon god could penetrate everything. The Six Paths fist was even more terrifying as it pressed forward. Finally, Lin Xian once again relied on these 2 divine abilities to reach the 30th level. He had mastered it. Lin Xian continued to head towards the 40th level. When he stood on the 40th level, he smiled. He had completely mastered these 2 divine abilities. Next, he would continue to break through. This time, he had advanced by a realm. Presumably, his ranking would also increase greatly. His target was the 50th level. Chapter 48:40. In the main hall outside, everyone was either busy or resting. Very few people paid attention to the ranking list again. That was because the ranking on the Holy Gulf Glory ranking was stable most of the time and rarely changed. After all, it was extremely difficult to increase one's ranking. However, on this day, someone exclaimed again, "Look, that mad god's ranking changed again." What? How long has it been? He's going to increase his ranking again? Is Mad God really a person? Why do I feel that it's impossible? They had never heard of Lin Xian's improvement speed. Even a young great emperor was nothing special. Mad God's ranking rose again, causing another uproar. They discovered that this name had risen from the top 2,000 to the top 1,000. Heavens, he couldn't have reached the 50th level, right? How did he do it? These people were crazy. One had to know that the Six Paths loose cultivator had spent a lot of effort to go from 2001 to 2000. It was already so difficult to increase one's ranking, let alone 1,000. It was simply unimaginable. However, Mad God had done it easily. This guy was definitely an emperor's son. Someone asserted. Others nodded. Some said that it might not be so. He might be an old monster. It's very likely that he's trying to pressure us." As soon as that was said, many people nodded. They found it hard to believe that a young man could have such heaven-defying strength. All kinds of guesses about Mad God appeared again. The Six Paths loose cultivator was shocked when he heard that. Mad God? He now knew that this was his master, the one who had stepped on him back then. However, he no longer had hatred for him, only endless respect and admiration. Not only did this increase in ranking alarm the surrounding challengers, but it also alarmed the divine generals of the Holy Gulf Tower. Such a large increase in ranking had not happened for many years, except for the Dragon Prince and Kuanpingzi. Could it be that he was really an emperor's son? One of the divine generals frowned. Another divine general said, "Go and check it out." However, they found that there seemed to be no clues at all. "We must find him. Perhaps he's the person we're looking for. Do you want him to take part in that challenge?" "That's right, it's almost time for our agreed date, but we don't have enough manpower. I want to find him and have him participate in that challenge. This way, our chances of winning will be much higher." A few divine generals whispered in the hall. They had decided that they had to find the Mad God. However, they did not know that Mad God, also known as Lin Xian, had already received his reward and left. Just like that, he left in front of everyone. Lin Xian returned to the divine palace and entered the sword world once again. He was now filled with curiosity towards this world. In his opinion, since spiritual herbs could be planted here, could spiritual ores be planted here as well? He made various attempts. It was possible, but it could only be done within the Four Spirit Mountains. After all, the earth here had already recovered its power, and there was also the dragon flame, astral world in the sky. Other than that, the area around the valley was fine as well, but not outside. It seemed like the power of one world was not enough. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes, waved his hand, and took out a world core. This world core was obtained from the Six Paths loose cultivator. Previously, Nalen Yenran gave it to the Six Paths loose cultivator to save his life. Later on, the Six Paths loose cultivator became his battle servant, and this world core also fell into his hands. It seemed that when he had time, he would have to make another trip to the universe and devour this world as well. Turn into a star. Lin Xian knew that this sword world was too mysterious. It was not something that could be recovered by fusing one or two worlds. He was afraid that he would have to use countless worlds to turn into stars in order to restore the vitality of this world. Thinking of this, Lin Xian walked out. Previously, Nalen Yenran had promised him that he would give him 3 more worlds after the matter was done. Now that such a long time had passed, it should be enough. Thinking of this, Lin Xian found Nalen Liang and told him about this matter. Nalen Liang said, "Boss, don't worry, I'll take you there now." The two of them headed towards the Nalen family. Nalen Liang first brought Lin Xian to his own lineage to meet his father and grandfather. Greetings, seniors. Lin Xian was refined and polite. The people from the Nalen family also laughed. Lin Gongzi is too polite. Liang this child, was born slow-witted. I hope that young master will take care of him in the future. Lin Xian laughed. He and I are brothers, so we naturally have to advance and retreat together. Nalen Liang also said, "Grandfather, don't worry. Lin Xian is my boss. Under his leadership, I will definitely become stronger and stronger." The middle-aged man and the old man both knew about this point, because the current Nalen Liang was already ranked 5th on the stars ranking. Without Lin Xian's help, it would be impossible to achieve such a ranking. "Oh, right, grandfather. Lin Gongzi has come for a big matter this time." Nalen Liang told him about what had happened. He had already told him about it before. Now that the old man heard it, he sucked in a breath of cold air once again. Previously, he thought that his grandson was joking. Now, it seemed that it was true. He said, "Okay, I'll get the elders of Yenran's family to come over. Nalan Liang's grandfather was the 8th elder. Nalan Yenran's grandfather was the 5th elder. At this moment, the great elder held a banquet and sent people to invite the 5th elder and Nalan Yenran. Nalan Yenran's father and others were also invited. At the 5th elder's residence, when the 5th elder heard the guard who came to report, he nodded and said, "I understand. Go back and tell 8th brother that I will be there." After the guard left, a middle-aged man walked out from the back of the hall and said, "Father, why did the 8th elder invite us? Who knows what this 8th elder is up to? But other than inviting us, he also invited Yan Ran. Could it be related to that Lin Xian?" As for Lin Xian's matter, they had already investigated it before. However, the results of their investigation were different from what Nalan Yanran had said. This Lin Xian was powerful, but not to such a terrifying extent. Perhaps Yanran remembered wrongly. Anyway, they were very suspicious about this matter. The 5th elder said, "Don't tell Yanran about this matter. Let's go. How about I call a few more people?" The middle-aged man was still worried, so he called a few more brothers. Just like that, a group of people went to the 8th elder's residence. At this moment, the 8th elder's residence was very lively. All kinds of lights lit up, and exquisite delicacies were served. He was going to welcome Lin Xian. "8th brother, your residence is so lively. Is there something big going on today?" A laugh could be heard. Then the 5th elder and others walked in. The surrounding young disciples, guards, and maids all bowed and retreated to the sides. The 8th elder also stood up and said, "5th brother, you are so slow. Greetings, 8th elder." Behind him, Nalan Yenran's father and other brothers all bowed. Nalan Liang's people also bowed. "Greetings, 5th elder. Well, we are on the same side. Don't be so polite." The 5th elder laughed and walked forward. He held the 8th elder's hand and said, "Look at your red face. Something good must have happened." The 8th elder also laughed. He said, "5th brother, let me introduce you to someone. You will definitely be interested." This was a young genius. Chapter 48-41. The 5th elder raised his eyebrows and asked, "What genius?" The 8th elder laughed. "5th elder, it's Lin Gongzi. He's the top genius of the true Tao sect." The 5th elder pretended to be surprised and looked at Lin Xian. Then he said, "Is that so? Seems like I'm really old. There's a new genius in the true Tao sect. I always thought that the most famous people in the true Tao sect were the Dragon Prince and the Dragon Prince." As soon as these words came out, the 8th elder was stunned, and so was Nalan Liang. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Looking at the 5th elder's attitude, there seemed to be something wrong. Nalan Liang walked out and said, "5th elder, you don't know Lin Gongzi?" "How could that be?" Sister Nalan was saved because of Lin Gongzi. The 5th elder was shocked again. "Oh, is that so? I really don't know about this. Yanran hasn't told me about it yet. If this is true, then I really have to thank this young master for his generosity." The 8th elder's eyes flashed. Why did he feel that the atmosphere wasn't right? He quickly said, "5th elder, come. Let's talk while we eat." The group of people sat down. The 8th elder raised his wine cup and said, "Lin Gongzi, the Nalan family, wants to thank you. First, it's because of Nalan Liang. This kid's strength has increased tremendously with your help. Let me give you a toast." Then he stood up and drank it in one gulp. Lin Xian said, "The 8th elder is too courteous. Nalan Liang is my brother. It's my duty to help him." Then the 8th elder poured a second cup and said, "The second thing is that you saved Yanran. Yanran is the top genius of the Nayland family. Previously, she was threatened by a mysterious expert, and her life was in danger. If it wasn't for you, Yanran would have been in danger. So, fifth elder, and I will give you a toast. Then, the great elder looked at the fifth elder. However, the fifth elder just sat there and didn't have any intention of raising his cup. This caused everyone to be stunned. Countless gazes landed on the fifth elder. The fifth elder was actually very clear in his heart. How could he not know Lin Xian? He had already inquired about him and had seen countless portraits of Lin Xian. However, he could not admit to this. Yanran agreed to give the other party 3 worlds. This was a huge amount of wealth, and the resources of these 3 worlds had to be provided by the people of their bloodline. If he gave it to the other party, his heart would bleed. Therefore, he was unwilling. Moreover, he didn't really believe that Lin Xian had the strength to kill the mysterious expert. The way he saw it, the unrestrained 6 paths and the mysterious expert were both severely injured, and this kid had suddenly jumped out to end the battle. In other words, the other party should be taking advantage of the situation. Another point was that Nayland Liang and this brat were brothers. Since that was the case, the stronger this brat was, the stronger Nayland Liang would be. If he grew to a certain extent, he would very likely replace Nayland Yanran and become the number 1 in the family. That way, their lineage would be greatly suppressed. He wouldn't allow this to happen. Therefore, after thinking about it, he felt that he had to suppress Lin Xian. At least, he couldn't give the resources of the 3 worlds. Therefore, after hearing the 8th elder's words, he thought for a while and said calmly, "8th brother, you're too impatient. I'll ask Yanran about it when she comes back. If it's really as you said, I'll invite Lin Gongzi to a banquet. It's a little too early now." What? The surrounding people were stunned. The 8th elder's eyes lit up. As an old fox, he naturally knew that the 5th elder wanted to go back on his word. The elders had always been in a competitive relationship. Previously, Nayland Yanran was the number 1 in the family, and the 5th elder's lineage was extremely powerful. They were so powerful that they couldn't even raise their heads. Now that Nayland Liang had found a powerful backer like Lin Xian, the 8th elder would naturally stand on Lin Xian's side. Therefore, at this moment, he frowned and said to the 5th elder, "5th elder, you're wrong." Nayland Liang was also present at the incident. He saw it with his own eyes. "He can't lie to you." The 5th elder said calmly. How could he take the words of the younger generation seriously? He might be exaggerating. Besides, how could they understand the power of a great sage? Are you doubting my boss's strength? Nayland Liang was finally angry. He slammed the table and stood up. The 8th elder shouted angrily, "Sit down. How can you talk to your 5th elder like that?" Nayland Liang gritted his teeth and sat down. However, his eyes were filled with dissatisfaction. Today, he was really too aggrieved. 5th elder's words are really disappointing. Our Nayland family is a top family. If this matter is spread out, we'll be laughed at. Who dares to challenge our Nayland family? Just kill him. A domineering aura rose from the 5th elder's body, shocking everyone. It seemed that the other party was determined not to admit it. At this moment, Lin Xian also spoke. The smile on his face disappeared, and there was a trace of cold light in his eyes. He said coldly, "There's no need for a toast. I'm not familiar with you. However, I still have to fulfill my promise. Nayland Yanran promised to give me 3 world cores after this matter is settled. Now hand them over." His words were incomparably cold. To be honest, he did want to make friends with the Nayland family. He even wanted the Nayland family to fight in his Divine Union camp. Before he came, he was full of expectations. After all, he was the other party's savior. Even if the other party bargained and only gave him 2 world cores, Lin Xian felt that it was fine. However, the other party actually refused to admit that he had saved his life and even showed a doubtful attitude. This made Lin Xian very angry. Since this was the case, Lin Xian naturally wouldn't try to rope the other party in. He would treat this debt of saving his life as a transaction. After this, there would be no more interactions. However, the fifth elder laughed when he heard this. 3 world cores? Could it be that this young master was joking? Why didn't I know about this? Are you going to renege on your debt? Lin Xian's eyes flashed with killing intent once again. Not only did the other party not appreciate his kindness, but he also wanted to be ungrateful. The fifth elder said, I've already said that Nalan Yenran didn't tell me about this. She's not in the family right now. When she returns, I'll ask her before making a decision. Lin Gongzi, take your time eating here. I still have some matters to attend to. As he spoke, the fifth elder stood up. The few middle-aged men beside him followed suit. It seemed like they didn't intend to stay any longer. What? The people on the eighth elder's side were stunned. They hadn't expected the fifth elder and the others to go back on their word. Damn it, this is too despicable. Nalan Liang roared. Was this his fifth grandpa? How embarrassing. Lin Xian also stood up and said coldly, Where's Nalan Yenran? Ask her to come and see me. The fifth elder stopped in his tracks. Nalan Yenran's father also turned his head. Yenran wasn't in the family. She was out on a mission. She might return in a few months or a few years. Take your time and wait. Chapter 48-42. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes became colder and colder. He said coldly, Nalan Yenran was the one who offered the 3 world cores, and the price was to buy her life. Since I saved her life, I had to obtain these 3 realm cores. Otherwise, Lin Xian didn't say anything else. The people around them all gasped. The middle-aged man in front shouted angrily, Kid, are you threatening me? If you understand it as a threat, then you can. Since I can save her life, I can take her life. That's all I have to say. I want to see 3 realm cores within a month. After speaking, Lin Xian waved his sleeve and rushed into the sky, turning into a sword light and disappearing. The people on the 8th elder's side were stunned, but the people on the 5th elder's side were angry. Nalan Yenran's father snorted. You dare to threaten us? You don't know what's good for you. The 5th elder said coldly, Let's go. They didn't care about the words of a young man. The Nalan family had seen many storms, but they had never been threatened by a young man. The 5th elder and the others left with cold smiles. Nalan Liang roared, What elder? Embarrassing? How could the family have such a despicable person? Liang, don't be rude. The 8th elder scolded. Then he said, 5th elder is indeed in the wrong. Why don't I go and persuade him again? You go and persuade Lin Gongzi. Maybe Yenran really didn't say anything. How could he take it? Nalan Liang said, Grandpa, we're not fools. How could Nalan Yenran not say anything when she was saved? I was called by the 5th elder for questioning, and they got a lot of information about Boss Lin from me. Now they're playing dumb. I think they just don't want to give up the 3 world cores. But wait, they'll regret it. Nalan Liang's father frowned. You think too highly of this Lin Gongzi. He's powerful, but can he shake the Nalan family? Father, Grandpa, you don't know how powerful Lin Gongzi is. There are some things I can't tell you now, but let me remind you, don't offend him. Take it as my grandson begging you. Otherwise, those who offended him would die without a burial ground. Just wait, Nalan Yenran will soon be out of luck. The 8th patriarch sucked in a cold breath. It seemed like he had to investigate this Lin Xian thoroughly. He looked at his grandson and said, Don't worry, we will definitely support you. We will stand on Lin Gongzi's side. This made Nalan Liang heave a sigh of relief. He knew that Lin Xian was not only a disciple of the Tao sect, his opponent was the Mad God. That was someone who was ranked 1,000 on the honor roll. It had only been a few years, and he had already reached that rank. His talent wasn't any weaker than the disciples back then. Would anyone who provoked such a person have a good ending? So, what if the Nayland family is powerful? Nayland Liang was very clear about this. One had to know that he was also a young genius. So how could he not understand such a small matter? At the same time, he was also puzzled. Had the Fifth Elder's people really gone crazy? In fact, he couldn't be blamed for being puzzled because what Lin Xian had done was too shocking. Nayland Liang had stayed by Lin Xian's side for a long time. He knew a little about Lin Xian's background, so he believed in him so much. The others, including the Eighth Elder, and the others, were also skeptical. If Lin Xian was the emperor's son, it wouldn't be surprising for him to do such a thing. However, Lin Xian wasn't, so they were suspicious. Nayland Liang shook his head, said goodbye to his father, and hurried back to the Tao sect. After returning, he found Lin Xian and said, "Boss Lin, I didn't know this would happen. Please punish me." Lin Xian said, "It has nothing to do with you. Also, it's best for your family to distance themselves from Nayland Yanran. I know this. I have already told my grandfather, and they are all on your side. Also, my grandfather will persuade the Fifth Elder. Maybe things will turn around. Let's hope so. However, I will only give her a month. This is the final deadline." Lin Xian didn't have much hope, so he started to contact the Crimson Dragon and prepare to set up the array formation. This time, they weren't dealing with one or two experts, but an entire family. Although it wasn't the entire Nayland family, the power of that family couldn't be underestimated. They might even become enemies with the entire Nayland family. Therefore, Lin Xian had to be well prepared. The current divine union wasn't just made up of the few of them at the start. It had already accommodated a few hundred people. These people weren't weak. They were good at fighting and had great strength. They also had the support of their families and sections. Once Lin Xian used all his strength, this power would be unimaginably strong. The Crimson Dragon, Fu Hongya, and the others had already started to gather power and provide powerful resources. They had even set up many array formations. Lin Xian waited patiently. Nayland Liang kept running back to the family to ask for news. More than 20 days had passed, but there was still no news from the Fifth Elder. Nayland Yanran didn't seem to appear either. The Eighth Elder, Nayland Liang, and the other side. They knew that there was no turning back. Finally, a month's time was up. Lin Xian stood up. Since the other party wasn't willing to give it to him, he would take back what belonged to him personally. On the other side, at the Nayland family, the Fifth Elder and the others sneered. A month's time was up. What could he do? Nayland Yanran's father said, "If he dares to make a move on us, we will cripple him. Yanran has been cultivating in seclusion. Let her go out. The Sky Sect Xingtian has been looking for her for a gathering. He has already come several times. I have already rejected him. This time, I can't reject him again." The Fifth Elder said. The middle-aged man's eyes lit up. This Xingtian was pretty good. He was from the Xingtian family and was from the ancient tribe. His status was good enough for Yanran. More importantly, he was stronger than Yanran in the Xingtian family. Moreover, he was the personal disciple of an elder. His status in the heavenly sect was extraordinary. If Yanran could become his cultivation partner, she might have a chance to become an elder's disciple. When that happened, Yanran would definitely soar to the sky. "Father, you might be the next clan leader of the Nayland family." The Fifth Elder smiled proudly. However, he still said, "Don't talk about things that haven't happened yet." "Father, don't worry. I know. but I have to hurry and inform Yanran. We must get on Xingtian's good side. Moon Spirit Valley, the Holy Abyss ancient city, was a very famous place. The scenery here was very beautiful, and especially at night there were even more heaven and earth anomalies. Every night, one could see immortals flying under the moon. Therefore, this place was extraordinary. Countless experts and geniuses gathered for banquets. At this moment, there was a banquet in the moon's Spirit Valley. Those who came were all top geniuses. Their status and strength were terrifying. The host of the banquet was Shengtian family, a top genius of the ancient tribe. At the same time, he was also an expert on the Xian ranking of the heavenly sect. More importantly, he was the personal disciple of an elder of the heavenly sect. With such identities added together, their appeal was terrifying. In an instant, many geniuses in the Holy Abyss ancient city rushed over. Chapter 48-43. Nalan Yenran stood in front of the snow maple tree in a daze. No one knew what she was thinking about. Today, she was specially dressed. She was like a fairy from the 9 heavens, making countless people look up to her. Many of the young geniuses had fiery eyes, but after asking around, they gave up. Not many people dared to have any ideas. This was because they knew that this event was specially organized by Sacred Sky for Nalan Yenran. Little sister Yenran, what are you thinking about? A few geniuses of the Sky sect walked over and asked with a smile. The snow maple tree shook, and countless wind leaves fell, turning into the law of snow that swept through the world. This scene was exceptionally beautiful. Nalan Yenran turned around and smiled. Senior sister, don't think too much. You don't have to worry about the family matters. You, young Master Xingtian, he spent a lot of effort for you, but you didn't even thank him. Don't make senior brother Xingtian wait too long. Senior sister, don't make fun of me. Nalan Yenran blushed, but she quickly picked up a cup of spirit wine and walked forward. Senior brother Xingtian. A tall man turned around. He was wearing battle armor that bloomed with multicolored light, looking extraordinarily mighty. It was the outstanding genius, Sacred Sky. He smiled. Junior sister Yenran, how are you? Are you in a better mood? Thank you for your concern, senior brother. I'm much better. Oh, right, senior brother. Have you heard anything about that person? The person she was talking about was naturally Lin Xian. Previously, Lin Xian had saved her life, and she had agreed to give him 3 world cores. Later, when Lin Xian had come to her family, her grandfather had asked her to go into seclusion. Nalan Yenran also knew about the situation after that. Her grandfather had directly rejected Lin Xian, saying that he wouldn't give him 3 more world cores. However, Lin Xian had said that he would come and get it himself a month later. This made Nalan Yenran uneasy. After all, she had seen Lin Xian kill Mo Guang with her own eyes. That kind of strength had frightened her. The scene of that day was deeply imprinted in her mind, and she couldn't forget it. Thinking of him, Nalan Yenran couldn't help but feel terrified. This was also the reason why she couldn't feel at ease. Xingtian smiled. So it was because of this. Yenran, don't worry. That brat is nothing to be afraid of. Let me tell you. As he spoke, he pulled Nalan Yenran to sit under a tree on the snowy peak. Xingtian Kong said, Lin Xian was a disciple of the Tao sect. He had joined the sect a few years ago. He had established the divine union in the Tao sect and even fought against the Dragon Palace. But from what I see, it's just that. He is a top genius, but he is too reckless. He challenged Dragon Palace. Do you think he will have a good ending? The Dragon Palace was founded by the Imperial Prince. At present, the Dragon Prince would not care about such ants. However, if he really got angry one day, he could destroy them with a single finger. Furthermore, I've also found out more about him. He had come from Grand Clarity Ancient City, where he had also set off a storm. However, that was not his power. It was the power of the Heavenly Court. He only knew someone from the Heavenly Court. So, what if he was from the Heavenly Court? The Heavenly Court had already been destroyed 50,000 years ago. Even if it was not dead, its vitality would be greatly damaged. Moreover, that was the Grand Clarity Ancient City, and this was the Holy Abyss Ancient City. The difference between the two was like night and day. More importantly, I heard that he was from the Immortal Burial Ground. He was judged by the Purple Mansion sect to not be tolerated by the heavens and earth and had no future. There was nothing to worry about such a person. Nalan Yenran knew some of the previous news, but she had never heard of the latter few. Someone from the Immortal Burial Ground. Was he really the kind of person that heaven and earth could not tolerate? How could my information be wrong? My Saint Heaven's clan is in Grand Clarity Ancient City, and there are even people who have interacted with him. The news came from the family, so it couldn't be wrong. Sheng Tian smiled. Nalan Yenran heaved a sigh of relief. Previously, Lin Xian had given her too much fear. However, when she heard that he had no future, she was secretly delighted. In other words, even though the other party was powerful now, she would be able to catch up to him in the future. She might even be able to trample on him. However, that was a matter for the future. Right now, she was still worried. Nalan Yenran said, "Senior brother, he killed a demonic expert. That demonic expert was stronger than the unaccompanied Six Paths junior sister. Don't worry. I've thought about this matter. You were uneasy when you were being chased, so you lost your ability to judge things. According to my speculation, the unaccompanied Six Paths and the unaccompanied Six Paths were injured. However, the unaccompanied Six Paths suffered external injuries, while the demonic expert suffered internal injuries. At that time, the unaccompanied Six Paths was forcefully holding on for the sake of deterrence. And at this time, Lin Xian might have discovered this problem. So he jumped out and used some of his strength to kill the demonic experts. He was just taking advantage of the situation. It could be said that he was taking advantage of the situation. If the unaccompanied Six Paths hadn't attacked first, he wouldn't have been able to defeat the demonic expert. If he met the demonic expert in a head-on battle, he would definitely die. Junior sister, you can even suppress him. Have some confidence. However, I'm still afraid. Nalan Yenran was nervous. Sheng Tian grabbed Nalan Yenran's hand and said, "Junior sister, don't worry. If he really dares to come, I'll help you." There was a hint of arrogance in his eyes. His strength was terrifying. In addition, he was the personal disciple of an elder, and his master was an elder of the heavenly sect. He could do whatever he wanted in the heavenly sect. Therefore, he didn't care about Lin Xian at all. "Are you talking about Lin Xian?" Qing Feng walked over and asked. So it was Fairy Feng. Sheng Tian also stood up and smiled. "Fairy Feng, do you know Lin Xian?" Qing Feng shook her head. She didn't know him, but she had seen him a few times. "That's good. Since Lin Xian dared to threaten junior sister Yenran, I won't let him off." Qing Feng was stunned. Won't let Lin Xian off. She knew that Sheng Tian was strong, but how strong could he be? He was only on par with them. She had seen Lin Xian's strength before. He had completely suppressed her, and by Li Fei, how could Sheng Tian fight against such a person? She was also acquainted with Sheng Tian. Just as she was about to persuade him, a cry came from the front. Countless rays of light danced in the air. Sheng Tian smiled. "Junior sister Yenran, come quickly. This is the gift I prepared for you." There was an orchid blooming in front of them. It shone with a cold light. It was beautiful. Sheng Tian pulled Nalan Yenran to the front and said, This is called the dark night orchid. It blooms once every 800 years. I found it especially for you. Today, we'll witness its blooming. It was so beautiful. Nailan Yenran finally smiled. It seemed that the threat of Lin Xian had disappeared. With Sheng Tian and her family's support, how could he threaten her? Chapter 48-44. Qing Feng shook her head and sighed as she looked at the scene. How could Nailan Yenran still be smiling? Did she really think that the sacred sky could protect her? At this moment, another tall figure walked to Qing Feng's side. It was Bai Li Fei. Bai Li Fei said, Lin Xian would not let this go. Qing Feng nodded. That was true. Lin Xian even dared to challenge the Dragon Palace, not to mention the Nailan family. A storm was about to break out. Aren't you going to persuade her? Bai Li Fei said. Qing Feng shook her head. Do you think it would be useful for me to persuade her? They had heard a little about Nailan Yenran. Since Nailan Yenran had seen Lin Xian's strength with her own eyes, how could they persuade her now? Some of the geniuses laughed beside Sheng Tian and Nailan Yenran. Fairy Yenran, no matter what difficulties you have, you can tell Sheng Tian. Sheng Tian would definitely be able to defeat everything. That was for sure. Sheng Tian's master was an elder of the heavenly sect. Moreover, we will support Fairy Yenran. Nailan Yenran was relieved when she heard this. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, would he be able to fight against the people around her? The smile on her face became even more beautiful. She was admiring the dark orchids in front of her. Dao sect, God abode. The toad jumped over and said, Kid, I have news about Nailan Yenran. Where is she? Lin Xian opened his eyes. A month had passed. There was no need for him to hold back. The toad said, Moon Spirit Valley. This is the mark on the map. He sent out a ray of light, and it turned into a map of the ancient city. Lin Xian looked at it and nodded. He then soared into the sky. His speed was extremely fast. He even summoned the Void Beast to open a space tunnel, allowing him to teleport. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared. Was the Moon Spirit Valley in front of him? Lin Xian stood in the sky and was shocked when he saw the immortal flying under the moon. It was truly a mystical place. It had been a month, and they were still in the mood to play here without giving him 3 world cores. It seemed that the other party had made up his mind not to give it to him. Lin Xian descended and walked towards the Moon Spirit Valley in big strides. Stop, who are you? Do you have an invitation? There were a few hundred figures outside the Moon Spirit Valley. These were the battle servants brought by the geniuses inside. They're outside, responsible for the safety of the whole valley. When they saw Lin Xian walking toward them, the 2 battle servants immediately went up to him and said coldly, I don't have an invitation, but I do have this. Lin Xian's eyes blossomed with an extremely terrifying radiance. In an instant, the 2 battle servants' bodies shook, and confusion appeared in their eyes. With a plop, he fell to his knees. Not good. The enemy is attacking. Several hundred battle servants shouted angrily, wanting to attack. However, Lin Xian activated his eye technique with all his might. Samsara spring and autumn. Between heaven and earth, a pair of golden eyes looked down. The battle servants felt a huge impact on their souls. Not good. Close your eyes. Don't look. It was an illusion. They wanted to roar, but no sound came out. Even if they closed their eyes, it was useless. Lin Xian directly attacked their souls. The few hundred battle servants were all enveloped, and their souls entered an illusion world. There, they would be reincarnated 100 times. The battle servants stood there, turning into statues, their eyes filled with pain. Lin Xian casually walked past these people and no one was able to stop him. Just like that, he entered the valley. There were quite a few people inside, and each of them had a powerful aura. Lin Xian's eyes flickered with a golden radiance, and he instantly stared at Nalan Yanran. The next moment, he smiled. "Fairy Nalan, you're in a good mood. Didn't your grandfather say that you were out on a mission? What? You have time to admire the flowers here." Lin Xian's voice wasn't loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. Immediately, many people were surprised and turned around. Nalan Yanran's pupils constricted, her body trembled, and the smile on her face froze. Did he find her? Sacred Sky frowned when he saw this scene. He turned around, and a cold radiance burst out from his eyes. Dozens of large cracks appeared in the sky. He looked at Lin Xian. In an instant, everyone in the valley looked over. "It's this kid. Who is he? Is he here to pursue Nalan Yanran? Does he want to compete with Sacred Sky? Ridiculous." Lin Xian ignored these discussions and walked towards Nalan Yanran. "Stop. Who are you? You don't look familiar. We didn't invite you." A man in purple armor shouted coldly. "You have guts. You dare to barge into the Moon's Spirit Valley? Men." He shouted loudly. But after waiting for a long time, no one rushed in. This surprised him. The others were also in an uproar. What's going on? Where are the battle servants outside? They all summoned them, but found that not a single battle servant came in. Everyone was stunned. Could it be that this kid did it? They all stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "Don't be nervous. I'm not here for you. I'm here for her." Nalan Yanran. "Fairy Nalan, do you still remember our agreement?" "What agreement?" "Brat, don't speak without thinking." Sheng Tian also stepped forward and said coldly. Lin Xian ignored him. "Nalan Yanran, you promised to give me 3 world cores when I saved you. Are you going back on your word now?" 3 world cores. Countless people were shocked. This was a shocking amount of wealth. Everyone was stunned. To be honest, they knew that something had happened to Nalan Yanran, and that it was settled, but they didn't know the details. So they had never heard of the agreement of 3 world cores. Now that Lin Xian said it, they were all shocked. No way. Fairy Nalan really agreed to give him 3 world cores? What a joke. Who was this kid? Was he trying to extort her? How could Nalan Yanran agree to such an unreasonable request? Nalan Yanran's face became incomparably pale. Ever since she found out that her grandfather had rejected Lin Xian, she had been worried that Lin Xian would come looking for her. She didn't expect that it would finally happen today. Would she really be able to stop him? At this moment, Sacred Sky held her hand and smiled. "Don't worry, I'm here." He walked out with a gloomy expression. "Kid, I don't know who you are, but with your status, how could you know Yanran? It's even more impossible for her to agree to give you 3 world cores. I suspect that you're just here to cause trouble. Do you think Yanran is someone you can provoke? Men, get him out. I don't want an ant here to ruin Yanran's good mood." A cold voice sounded with killing intent. Chapter 48-45. The purple-robed man walked out and said coldly, "Kid, did you hear that? Get lost." Today, young master Sheng Tian invited all the top geniuses. "You're just an ant, and you don't have the right to be here." Lin Xian stared at the purple-robed man and laughed. Others might not know, but someone like you is worthy of being called a top genius? Since when were the top geniuses so cheap? Kid, are you challenging me? Do you want to die? Feng Mo's body emitted a cold, killing intent, and the surrounding space cracked. Lin Xian looked at the other party and laughed. "Are you from the Sky Sect? If Kun Pengzi was here, he would have the right to say that. But you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me." Lin Xian's eyes exploded with a terrifying light as he used his eye technique. Feng Mo's pupils shrank, as he felt his soul being torn apart. His entire face was contorted with rage. Damn it! He was too careless. He didn't expect Lin Xian's soul to be so strong. He wanted to resist, but it was too late. A powerful soul will press down on his soul, causing him to kneel on the ground with a thud. The ground was blasted into pieces, and countless cracks appeared. Lin Xian's lips curled up as he looked ahead. Oh, aren't you a top-notch genius? Why are you kowtowing to me? Aren't you being too polite? Ah, Feng Mo was so angry that he vomited blood. He gritted his teeth and roared, "Damn kid! How dare you sneak attack me with your soul? Go to hell!" He waved his hand, and a bolt of purple lightning flew out from his sleeves. It turned into a purple qilin and charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered and didn't move. When the purple lightning arrived, he stretched out 2 fingers and pinched it. With a crack, the terrifying lightning shattered. Lin Xian pointed forward. Light of the demon god. The black light seemed to come from the demon world and directly pierced through Feng Mo's head. Feng Mo's body was torn apart and his soul was nailed to the ground. In the blink of an eye, Feng Mo was severely injured. The surrounding people's faces changed, especially those beside Xingtian. They all shouted in anger. "Brat, are you courting death?" Another figure walked out. This person's body was surrounded by terrifying flames. "How dare you attack my sky sect? You must be tired of living." His palm turned into a flaming heavenly steel and pressed down on Lin Xian. Lin Xian flicked his finger, and another ray of demonic light flew out of the flames. The heavenly steel shattered, and that person spat out large mouthfuls of blood, as if he was struck by lightning. The reincarnation steel. Lin Xian used his eye technique, and a heavenly soul steel appeared to suppress him. With a plop, the man fell to his knees again, his body trembling. The others were shocked. Their bodies stopped in midair. The other party was too terrifying. Lin Xian didn't let the 2 of them go either. Wherever his gaze passed, their souls burned. One by one, they were sent flying while vomiting blood. The surrounding people were stunned. This kid was too strong. With just a few simple moves, he had seriously injured the experts of the Sky Sect. Nalan Yenran's pupils shrank. How strong! She felt that Lin Xian was even more terrifying than before. She was regretting it now. Perhaps she should have given him 3 hearts of the world. However, this was her grandfather's decision. Moreover, she had indeed gone back on her word. She didn't know what to do now. Lin Xian stepped on the people who were kneeling on the ground and stomped their heads into the ground. Then he came to Nalan Yenran and smiled. "I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to give me 3 hearts of the world?" Me? Nalan Yenran was conflicted. She didn't want to give it to him, but she was afraid. Beside her, Xingtian stood in front of Nalan Yenran and said, "Brat, you're too arrogant. Today is my banquet. Yet you injured my men the moment you arrived. Are you looking down on the Sky Sect's reputation? Now, kneel on the ground and kowtow. If I'm in a good mood, I might spare your life. Also, you'd better disappear from Nalan Yenran's sight. She's not someone you can challenge." Xingtian looked down at Lin Xian. Lin Xian glanced at him and asked, "Who do you think you are? Tell me your name. I won't kill a nameless person." "I'm Xingtian." Lin Xian frowned as he stared at the Holy Heavens clan. "How dare you?" Someone beside him shouted. Xingtian was an expert on the Xian ranking. He was a top genius and the personal disciple of the Sky Sect's elder. How could an ant like you compare to his status? Someone snorted from afar. Lin Xian didn't even turn his head as he threw out the 6-path strike. This punch seemed to be able to cause the world to reincarnate. The person who spoke turned into a bloody mist. This time, not even his soul was left behind. His body and soul were destroyed. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. They were all terrified. This guy was too arrogant. He killed a genius with a single punch. Lin Xian retracted his fist and shouted coldly, "Some people just don't understand what I'm saying. If you're not convinced, you can continue to be arrogant in front of me. I'll send you to hell." At this moment, Lin Xian was extremely domineering. "How dare you kill him?" Sheng Tian was completely enraged. His eyes seemed to be spitting fire. Lin Xian said coldly, "So you're from the Sheng Tian clan, but you're not qualified to be arrogant in front of me. Even the clan leader of the Sheng Tian clan has to give me some face in front of me, let alone you. Get lost. If you dare to stop me again, I'll send you to hell." Countless people were shocked. Sheng Tian went crazy. Lin Xian didn't even put the clan leader of the Sheng Tian clan in his eyes. Preposterous. Nailan Yan ran. "Step back. I'll suppress him." Sheng Tian was really angry. "Be careful. He's very strong." Nailan Yanran was extremely nervous. The others also stepped back. Sheng Tian's face was cold. "Nailan Yanran, don't worry. No matter how strong he is, he won't be able to defeat me." After saying that, he waved his hand and slapped out. A heavenly diagram appeared on his palm. It was the heavenly diagram. It seemed like he was going to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian punched out with his left fist. 6-path fists. His fist was unstoppable. Not only did it have the physique of the 9-yang divine body, but it also had the terrifying power of the 6-path fists. Countless people were shocked. They didn't know what the outcome would be. Some people said that Sheng Tian's killing intent was the ultimate technique of his clan. The heavenly diagram could seal the heavens and earth. Lin Xian couldn't resist it. In the next instant, the two collided. Sheng Tian had thought that Lin Xian wouldn't die if he attacked, but when his fist collided with Lin Xian's, he regretted it. Lin Xian's fist was too terrifying. It was like a fist god. His entire palm trembled, and it felt like his body was going to split apart. "Damn it! I don't believe it. Suppress him." Sheng Tian roared as his right palm bloomed. Endless great Tao descended, but Lin Xian's fist was like a blazing sun. It instantly shattered his palm. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.